Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome in on a Tuesday morning. So the Utah Jazz played in Portland last night. And, Portland's not a good team. They are mediocre at best. I think C-, D+ territory. You would think that, never mind, it was a disaster. The Jazz hung in there for, 8 or 9 minutes. And then Portland just started drilling them. And by halftime, it was long over. Long over. I mean, there are probably some people who thought, well, hold on till halftime. It was over before then. It is amazing that a team that can beat the Spurs and beat the Pistons can turn around and look that dreadful, give up that many points. As the head coach Will Hardy said after the game, he mentioned they are last in defense. I mean, take some pride. Try to get to 28th or 29th, okay? Now, I know, before you start screaming, I know they don't have Kessler, and rim protection matters, and rim protection would help them, and having a shot blocker back there would make them better. Totally agree. But they don't have to be this big a disaster, and they certainly don't have to do what they did against Portland. There was no point in watching that game. It was over so quickly. All right, let's get to the best of the postgame show.
Jazz recap here on DJ and PK 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott with you. The Jazz fall last night at the Blazers, 137-117. Tough night for the Jazz. Played a little bit slow, not a whole lot of defense. Jazz ended up down 20 at the half and never really got any closer. The Jazz were led by Lauri Markkanen, who had 22 points in the loss. Yusuf Nurkic with a double-double, 21 and 12. But the Jazz had a tough time slowing down Denny Avdia, who finished the game with 33 points. Shaedon Sharpe right behind at 29. Let's get to the post-game sound and Jazz head coach Will Hardy.
We're not doing a good job physically containing the ball. We're not doing a good job mentally anticipating the help on the weak side. And so tonight we just looked slow. Our brains look slow and our feet look slow. And so you end up giving up too much at the rim, and then when you do help, it's late, and you're giving up kick-out threes. They made 19 threes. They made 8 in the first quarter. Are there some that are just great shots by really talented players? Of course. But I think the theme right now defensively is we have to up our physicality, we have to up our intensity, and we have to up our anticipation on the weak side. As much as I would like to believe in my teammate guarding the ball, I have to anticipate what has to happen if they get beat. And I just felt like we were late on all those aspects tonight. Offensively, it wasn't our best night, and you still turn in 117 points. Our team is top half of the league offensively, and we're last defensively. It takes accountability of each individual for us to have any collective accountability on that side of the ball. Defense is tiring. Defense is not fun, but defense is what gives you the opportunity to win. We can't show up to the games thinking that we're just going to outscore everybody. Like, that's an unsustainable approach. And right now, where we are as a team and as a program, we're trying to build sustainable habits, a sustainable approach for long-term success. And our focus on the defensive side of the ball individually has to go up. I think there's a lot of commentary about people's stats, and stats end up getting people paid, but defense is what's going to give us a chance to win.
You mentioned physicality on the defensive end, but how much was that a factor on the other side of the ball tonight, too, just maybe in tonight's loss?
Yeah, they do a good job of pressuring. They've got big, physical, athletic wings. We're 26 for 49 in the paint. I think there's 7 or 8 of those shots that we normally make that we just missed. I also thought we made some questionable decisions at the rim in different moments. It's a combination, but I do think that, we talked as a team at the end of the first quarter and then again at halftime that we needed to do a better job of screening as a group. We can't just rely on Nurk to get everybody open. We play a lot of actions that are small, and they were trying to maintain their matchups. And so everybody has a responsibility to bend their knees and brace for contact and try to help their teammates get open. So, yeah, I think, physicality ultimately is why we lost the game tonight on both sides of the ball.
You talked in one of these press conferences at the beginning of the year that, you guys had looked in the mirror in the first couple of years when you guys were last in the league defensively and said, hey, this isn't working, we need to change our style of play on that end as well. And then, Walker got hurt as well. But what kind of style of play do you want to see defensively? What do you want to have be kind of the identity of Jazz basketball defense, if you will?
Well, I think we've identified the type of shots that we're trying to take away, but we need more of a scramble mentality on every possession. Right now, we are late mentally, and we do not have the athleticism as a group to make up for that physically. It takes a lot of anticipation to do those things possession after possession. Defense takes a relentless level of competitiveness because there are so many situations that happen in every game. And am I supposed to go over the screen or under the screen? Well, the reality is that doesn't matter as much as not getting screened. Stop running into the screen. That is the only answer that never works, is just running into the screen and dying. On the weak side, am I supposed to take away the rim, or am I supposed to say, well, we have a priority kind of list of you're going to get put in a bad spot sometimes defensively. And when in doubt, take away the rim. And then when you're scrambling on the weak side, a lot of it is personnel recognition. If two people are equal, you'd like to take away the corner three. If two people are not equal, you have to try to make a decision on which one you'd prefer to shoot. But ultimately, I'd like for our identity to be we can play a couple of different styles because, like I've said, I don't envision a world where we're going to be able to play one coverage for 82 games and through the playoff, run. And so, yeah, we will continue to adjust and, try to identify different schemes as a staff that can help. But I think right now we've generated a pretty good defensive shot profile, but we're not doing a very good job of contesting those shots at a high rate. Believe me, it's a collective effort, coaches, players, in order to make improvements in that area. It's crazy for how good our offense has been, how little we actually talk about it as a group. Defense is what we're attacking every day, and it's what we'll continue to attack until we get it right. And, I'm the person that takes the responsibility for how our team performs. I come and talk to you guys every day, and I'm never going to duck my responsibility in terms of leading our group. And my expectation is that everybody on our team take responsibility for their individual play.
Kind of related, you guys played the Thunder next game. We talked to their coach about why their defense is so good, and they say, hey, this starts with personnel. They draft really long, athletic guys who are defense-first guys. Do you have the personnel to play defense well in this league?
I think any group of people can perform to a certain level. I don't want to put a limitation on our group at all on that side of the ball. Believe me, if I didn't believe in the ability for a group of people to outperform the sum of their parts, or if I didn't believe in the ability for individuals to grow and get better, then this would be a horrible profession for me. I go to bed with that belief. I wake up with that belief. My job is to hold our team accountable, but my job is also to teach them, to inspire them, to give them hope. So yeah, I don't want to put any limitations on our team, to say that any group like, oh, they just can't. That would be a terrible way to go about this every day.
There is Jazz head coach Will Hardy. The Jazz fall to the Blazers 133-117. The Jazz are back at it coming up tomorrow night. They'll be in Oklahoma City to take on the defending champion Thunder. The game will tip off at 6 o'clock. Pre-game coverage begins at 5.
All right, there is the best of the post-game show. When we come back, the Utah Mammoth were also on the road. Different result, different experience for them at Madison Square Garden. We'll get to that next. Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome in on a Tuesday morning. The Utah Mammoth on the road playing the Rangers in Madison Square Garden, and a dramatic finish goes their way. They come home with 4 points on the 3-game road trip to Gotham, the Big Apple, and New Jersey. Let's get to the best of the postgame show.
DJ and PK, the Utah Mammoth erased 2 separate deficits, killed a late penalty, and beat the New York Rangers 3-2 in overtime. On Monday night at Madison Square Garden, Sean Dursey with the overtime game winner, 66 seconds into the 3-on-3, and the Mammoth come home taking 2 of 3 on this road trip to start 2026. Beat the Islanders 7-2 Thursday, lost 4-1 at the Devils on Saturday, and came from behind twice to defeat the New York Rangers at Madison Square Garden 3-2 on Monday night. It was a game where the Mammoth dominated. 5-on-5, even strength, outshot the Rangers 26-14, but got into some penalty problems in the second period. The Rangers able to capitalize twice. Utah then, as I said, killed that late penalty in the third period to force the game to overtime. Getting the scoring started for Utah just 4 minutes and 11 seconds after they fell behind 1-0 in the second period. Who else but Dylan Guenther, his 21st.
They're promptly turned away by Ian Cole. Here's Guenther flying in. Guenther shoots. Pad save off the post and in. Dylan Guenther scores to tie the game at 1.
15th goal out of 21 this year for Guenther that ties a game or gives Utah the lead. Utah was without Guenther in the third period. He took a big hit, missed 13 minutes of game time, and was not out there with Utah trailing in the third. So 1-1, Mammoth take 2 penalties simultaneously. Brandon Tanev, Alexander Kerfoot down 5-on-3 in a 1-all game. Rangers took a 2-1 lead. We went to the third. Mammoth were trailing. But Michael Carcone got his second goal in 2 games and got the equalizer for Utah.
At the center red line, Justin Dowling gave it away, and Carcone penetrates the offensive zone. Carcone backs his way in and scores! Michael Carcone breaks out the bulldozer and plows Utah's second goal into the back of the net.
And after killing that big penalty, we went to overtime, and Utah didn't waste much time before Sean Dursey was there to put the puck in the back of the net.
Lawson Krause has been fantastic the last several weeks, really all season. He's on the ice right now with Schmaltz and with Dursey. Schmaltz, pass across. Dursey trying to pass it back. It comes to Krause. Krause, Schmaltz, back door, and they score! Sean Dursey wins it in overtime here at Madison Square Garden.
So the Mammoth now back tied for that wildcard spot in the Western Conference. After all that, headed home for 24 of their final 39 games in the regular season, starting with a 7-game homestand that opens on Wednesday at 7 p.m. against Ottawa. We'll have it for you on the AM side. 1280, the KSL Sports Zone. But let's get back to the game and let's hear what Michael Carcone said after tying things up in the third and getting another big goal for the Mammoth.
As a whole, mentally engaged was the word Krause used coming off the first. You guys were in this one. I guess how do you elevate where you guys were in the second period to the way you finished?
Yeah, I thought we played them well all night, to be honest. They capitalized on power plays, and I'm proud of the boys. We stuck with it there in the third period and came out and got the win.
What can you say about the pressure applied in the third to stay on?
Yeah, we knew we were playing well. We just wanted to get pucks behind them, play the right way, and eventually it would go in, so we were just being patient.
And then just obviously celebrating an OT win with Dursey. I know he was really wanting that one coming out of the box after that penalty.
Yeah, I think his head might have grown 3 sizes, but I'm happy for him. He deserves it. He's a big part of our team and creates a lot of offense, so it's nice to see him get one.
When this team is rolling, there's contributions up and down the lineup. Again, tonight you've had a lot of goals recently. What are you seeing out of this group when they have that offense going?
Yeah, I think every line has an identity. With my line specifically, we just want to get pucks deep and hunt. I got 2 big bodies I'm playing with that can get the puck back, so just put it in places for them and, get the pucks to the net and just crash. So.
2 wins on this road trip. How important was it to get those 2 points tonight and move on to a 7-game homestand with that momentum?
Yeah, absolutely. We knew this trip's going to be important. We obviously see the standings and where we are. So, to get 2 wins on this trip and get home, it's going to be great.
You also have 2 games and 2 straight games. What are you liking about what's working for you and your line?
It's the NHL. It happens. There's 82 games, so sometimes they happen in stretches or whatever. It's I don't know. Just sometimes it goes in.
When you see a guy like Daniel Boo battling out with a guy like Matt Rumpy, what do you think that does to your team?
It's great. He's, I don't even know how old, 19, 20, 21. It's pretty impressive. Obviously, everyone knows who he is and what he brings to their team. So for him to get in there and battle is it's awesome to see.
Carl Malcolm made a couple glove saves to keep your team in it. How big was he tonight?
Yeah, he's huge. I think he's got top 3 wins in the league for a reason. He's been a rock for us all year, and hopefully we just continue to help him out.
Thanks, Cards.
Carconi's up to 8 goals. He had 7 goals all of last season. 2 years ago, he had 21 goals. Hey, how about Sean Dursey? That game-winning goal in overtime. He took a penalty in the third period. Was so frustrated about it, and then came out of the penalty box, almost scored to win it for Utah in regulation. Wins it in overtime. He's got 10 points in his last 12 games, and being healthy has just allowed him to do so much this year versus the injury-riddled inaugural season. We heard from Sean Dursey after the game.
Team win. What does this group take away from a game like this, especially at the end of a road trip?
Again, emotional one. I thought we did a good job staying mentally engaged. I loved our third period. But it's how can we refocus? How can we get ready for the next one? I thought this was a big one for us, obviously, finishing the road trip off on a good note. But now it's for our group, it's about, stacking wins and, getting points consistently.
When you talk about the details in terms of what made this successful, pressure at the end of it when this team was sticking around, what can you say about how you guys re-engaged?
Yeah, to explain it, I thought, sometimes we're playing hockey and, we're not grabbing a game and taking it. And I thought tonight we did a good job of going at them, being aggressive and taking, what they gave us, but doing it with intensity. And I thought that's important for us is how can we build momentum from that and then stacking shifts. You saw one line was going out there changing and, the other line's flying out there with the same intensity. So that's important for us. And, we have a really deep team and a lot of good players. So it's how can we all build this together and, keep moving forward.
Obviously, Gunther is a momentum changer. Carconi also in 2 straight games getting goals for your group. How is he a momentum changer as well?
Yeah, Karch has been, I'm not even going to say as of late, he's been awesome. Whether you guys see it on the ice or we see it in the room, he's a great guy for our group. He's a hell of a player. And I think lately, just thinking the game really well, using his legs, making smart hockey plays, not through them, but what they give him. And again, hell of a player and happy he's on our team.
Seemed pretty hot at the end of regulation on that call. Just what happened there and then what was the emotional roller coaster of that, the penalty box, and then scoring the winner?
Yeah, obviously you take one and I wasn't happy with it, but again, the ref, I know how fast the game is. The ref's going to make the calls he sees fit, but not to get too emotional, I lost my grandfather a few weeks ago. I said a little prayer in the penalty box hoping he had our back there, and then to kind of get that OT winner for him. And again, I'm going to try not to get emotional, but he was an important guy in my life, so it was nice to get that one for him.
Head coach Andre Turney telling us before the game, we win 2 out of 3, it's a good trip. We don't win, not a good trip. It was a really pivotal game for the Mammoth on Monday in Manhattan. And here's head coach Andre Turney after that game.
Here we go. Another great performance by the guys. I think we played really good at 5-on-5. We applied a lot of pressure. We didn't give much. I didn't like our penalty. Take it the way you want. Say what you want about it. I didn't like anything about it. And obviously, everything they create is off their power play. But at 5-on-5, I really liked our effort. What I like the most is the way we react in the third, the pace we had, the drive, the grit we had in the third. And I think we found a way to score a big goal and get the win.
Sometimes emotions obviously take it to a different level, but in this one, it was the intensity of those emotions that also helped Dursey in the end. What can you say about him in that effort?
Absolutely. I think Durs is that kind of a guy in our locker room, in our team. He has that passion, that grit, that desire to excel. Those are intangible. You don't always see from the outside, but when you're in the inside, you're in the trenches with the guys. You see what he has no retreat in him. He's always go forward. So I like that about him a lot.
It felt like there was a lot of added pressure, or rather applied pressure in the third period. What was bend but don't break about that period?
Well, I think first period was excellent, a lot of pace. Second period, we got a little bit in the box trouble there, but still, we were not playing bad. But we're not playing with the same pace than we did in the first period, the same pressure, the same aggression. And when we get back at it in the third, I think, like I said, right from the first shift, the guys were on it, and that paid off.
Krausler and Schmaltz in overtime to help make that goal happen. What are you seeing out of their efforts and just all these underlying performances that help these guys score goals throughout these games?
I think there's those guys play really well. You know, it's an important game for us. We have high expectation for us in the second half. We talk about hard and demanding was the schedule before Christmas, and we kind of battled through, and we were where we wanted to be, but we expect good thing for us in the second half. And that trip is important because you can go back home at 1-2, or you can go back 2-1, and that is the huge difference. And now we're playing 10 of the last 14 at home. We're by far the team who played the most game on the road in the league. So now we have an opportunity to balance everything out and to prove what we want, who we want to be. So I think it was a big game. Like I said to you before, we're playing really good hockey, but we need to find ways to win. It's not just winning the battle of the data, it's winning the game. And tonight, we did both.
And we'll be talking all about it on Mammoth Daily today, wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Utah Mammoth YouTube page, Mammoth Plus, SCG Plus. It's a Tuesday mailbag. We'll answer your questions. We'll get Mike's morning after, more on that big victory at New York. We'll look ahead to Wednesday's homestand opener against the Ottawa Senators. That's Mammoth Daily, and we'll be back with you coming up tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, Hockey Night in Utah on the AM side, 1280, the KSL Sports Zone.
There is the best of the postgame show. When we come back, Steve Cleveland talking about coaching transitions. Yes, you're friends with people. Yes, you have relationships with people, but it's also business. Steve's next. Stay with us. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We're joined by former BYU basketball coach Steve Cleveland. Steve, good morning.
Morning, fellas.
So, Steve, we want to talk to you this morning about coaching, and watching all this go down with the football coaches and who stays and who goes to Michigan with Kyle and the hard feelings. I remember talking to Dave Rose when the first hint of you it was just a hint of you maybe going to Fresno, and Dave saying, I don't know. And I said, well, if this happens and then that, and he says, well, if he actually does go, if this is all true, then it's every coach for themselves. And it was just so cold-blooded. And I knew you two had a deep personal relationship. You'd known each other. You had a million stories, a million laughs, a million probably agonies as well. Looking at each other going into halftime, like, what are we going to say to these guys now? And you got all of that. But then when you get to that point where it is everybody for themselves, personal relationships and feelings can go up. How do you juggle that and all the people that you've known across coaching, you've seen probably in situations like this? Because I think people are trying to understand how this has happened with Kyle and why people would go with him and why people would stay and how you balance the, hey, it's like they say in The Godfather, it's business.
It is business. You know what? It's interesting because I've listened to a little bit of it as well and read some stuff in the papers and how people are upset about him leaving and this and that. It doesn't make sense. What an opportunity for him, and an opportunity to go to obviously a blue blood university in Michigan. I think what we tend to forget sometimes is all the amazing things that Kyle did at Utah. And I think that obviously Utah's had a great program and done well. Michigan is another level, another step. And I just don't think people should take it so personally. I mean, what would you do if you were in his seat and making those kinds of decisions? I mean, it's a no-brainer for me. And it doesn't take anything away from his love for Utah. And the thing about Kyle, he is a really, really genuine, authentic person. And not everyone is that. And the thing about Kyle that I've always loved, and when I first started coaching, he made an effort to come in and introduce himself to me. And I didn't know anybody when I came to BYU. Here's the guy that's at University of Utah, and met him at a meeting and at a luncheon. And I've always had good feelings about Kyle and that being a very genuine, authentic individual. I've always appreciated him about that. And I think people need to just take a step back, take a breath, and just relax. Hey, let's just reflect on the amazing things this man has done while he was at Utah, and it's an opportunity for him, for his family, and to take it to another level. And it's not to say that Utah or BYU or whoever it is isn't deserving of having the very best coach they can have, but I think Kyle made a great decision. He's taken some guys with him. And that's just part of the process. And people want to take it personal, then let them deal with it. But it's nonsense to think that Kyle wouldn't take it, that he wouldn't take coaches from other staffs. And that's part of the business, and get used to it.
I can remember when you were going to Fresno. I mean, you were like the first guy. Oh my gosh, BYU coaches don't leave, and Steve Cleveland is leaving BYU. What is he thinking? And obviously that was home for you, and you had other situations and financial packages which made sense. And a little funny story is, I thought, well, Dave Rose is the guy, right? And so I think yours story broke like on a Thursday or Friday. I remember it was a Saturday, and I was in Arizona visiting family, but that turned out to be a work trip. And so I call him on Saturday, and he must have saw my number and figured, I can't talk to this guy. But he didn't click it all the way, right? And he was in his car, and I could hear the radio. And I thought, well, I'll just wait this out. He's going to he'll pick up the phone at some point, and I'll still be on the line. He does not know that he didn't hang up completely. And I can't remember. It was probably at least 20 minutes, maybe even longer. I was just sitting there, and he was in the car, obviously driving somewhere. I figured it couldn't have been far. And sure enough, he goes to pick up the phone, and he thinks he's dialing, and hello, and it's still me. And so he then realized, Dave, I know you looked at my number and said, I can't talk to him now. But anyway, I talked to him, and I said, whatever you tell me here, I got too much invested in this. I'm not going to burn you, and I think most people know. And that was 20 years ago, and obviously 20 years later, they know I'm not going to burn him. And we talked about the job, and clearly he wanted it, and we all thought he was the right man for the job, and obviously Tom ended up giving it to him. So it's just a little funny story I thought I'd share. But I'm thinking about all these guys now that from Utah and from BYU are going to go to Michigan, and there's probably a good chance that many of these dudes have never been there, and they're going to be introduced. It's going to be so overwhelming, and I was wondering if you could share your experience when you went from Fresno to Provo. At least you had been to Provo, at least probably some, but how overwhelming, or how was it in terms of just, here's the job, and I got to meet all these people. I got to move. I got to get a place to stay. I got to get the electricity on. That seems like, man, that is just an overwhelming situation for these coaches that they have to go into with their families, and particularly if they have young kids, which you had younger kids at the time too.
Yep. Well, let me just speak for a moment about, BYU. And it was such a unique situation there. And as I was really, really surprised that they contacted me. And I'm at a community college. I've got a really good community college team. We're like the #1 team in the state, and I think life's good forever. And as we went through that process, and I think looking back, I'm sure people are going, Steve, who? What do they think? But for me personally, it was an opportunity, and obviously you got to get a staff together, and you all both know what the relationship that Dave, Rose, and I have had. And it's funny because as community college coaches, he was an outstanding community college coach, and I had done the same, but we didn't really know each other that well. I mean, we'd made contact, and I'd gone down to a tournament down in St. George and got to know him, and we kind of developed a friendship there. But I don't think either one of us ever thought, looking forward, that I would be the head coach and that he would be my associate head coach. And 8 years later, he's the head coach at BYU, and I'm back at Fresno State. But that's how things are. And I never felt, it was always a positive vibe. I love the people that I work for, and people can question, what was I thinking leaving BYU? But it was also something that I went back to family. I went back to a situation that I had a dear love for, and people talk about money and this and that. I you know what? That it's part of the process. But for me and my gut and feeling, it was like, this feels right. Going to BYU, having an amazing experience there, turning a program around, and then going to Fresno and trying doing the same thing. Looking back today, realize how difficult that process was going to be and what it was. But I just think in your heart, you make decisions. If I made decisions that I look back on and things in my life that I could have been better or should have maybe rethought this, yes. I don't think any of us, when you go through this process, but when I look at the football situation at Utah and what Kyle's doing, and there's nothing about that to me doesn't make sense. And he gave them everything at Utah, and he had a great staff. And there was coaches from BYU, coaches from Utah that are going with Kyle, and I believe that's what a great honor. What a great honor. And it's not taking anything from Utah. They have an outstanding football program. In the past, they've had amazing basketball there. It's a great institution. But going to Michigan is another level and next step. And anybody that's going to begrudge him for leaving, they're just not very smart. and really, not really good people and kind. And a guy gives you everything that Kyle gave, and then people are going to be critical of him and criticize him. Blow those people off. That's insane. It disgusts me that conversation even takes place. And so I'm happy for Kyle. I'm happy for his staff, the guys that have, the guys from BYU and Utah and other places that they've come to develop a great staff. And I'll always be their fans. It doesn't matter to me. Yes, I love BYU, but I love my experiences with coaches at Utah and watching from afar, football, basketball. And it just doesn't make sense that people would have that kind of an attitude, just very narrow-minded. And honestly with you, I'm not interested in hearing the nonsense that's coming out from some of these people on radio and TV.
It's one thing when it happens with with coaches, but now it's happening with players with the transfer portal. The Texas Tech is getting Cincinnati's quarterback for $5 million. The TCU quarterback's going to Indiana. The ASU quarterback's going to Kentucky or LSU, reportedly for at least $5 million. Iowa State's quarterback is following his coach to Penn State. So do we have to take the same attitude towards players? Because then in the era you coached and even more recently, even just 5 years ago, people like to sit in the stands and look out and I know that guy. I know his story. I followed him for 4 years. Well, that's out the window.
Well, yeah, I mean, when I look at the opportunities, I mean, you talked about the NIL. Well, let's start with the transfer portal. I mean, I never saw that coming. Has it impacted collegiate sports? Absolutely. And, you know, and I think as a player who sometimes, when I was coaching and guys would come and they would leave and they'd go and do different things, it was always hard for coaches to lose guys or find out somebody's going somewhere else. It seems like they're not loyal. What you committed to going to BYU or you're committed to going to Utah or Michigan, whatever it was, that you felt like, hey, you know what? You decided to come here. Well, that's not the environment we live in anymore. And I mean, you just take a look at the transfer portal and guys being able to play in 3 or 4 programs in 3 or 4 years. I mean, I don't love that, but that's what it is, and it's not going to change. And no matter how much I gripe about it, that's what it is. And NIL money and the fact that guys are making millions of dollars, yeah, it didn't feel right, but I've lived long enough and seen this, and that's what it is. And we're now paying college athletes significant amounts of money, and that's the world that we live in. That's what the NC2A and all the governing bodies have decided to go. That's what they're doing. And I think for a long time, universities, schools, you guys have heard this, that millions and millions of dollars are being made and student athletes aren't really benefiting from it. And, it wasn't that way in 2005, and it wasn't that way in the late 90s, but it is the way it is today. And for me personally, I don't begrudge any young man who has an opportunity to improve himself in his circumstances financially or in a different school. I've kind of wrapped my arms around that and said I'm good with it. It's not the perfect world that I grew up in as a coach, but if that's what it is now, then good on you. And it's not just BYU and Utah. It's 300 different Division I schools that are changing and going through this process, and I just don't see any purpose in fighting it when that's what it is. And guess what? Student athletes are benefiting from this. Coaches are benefiting from this, and that's just what it is. And I know it's difficult to have coaches lose guys, but I think everybody's gotten used to the fact now that you're going to lose guys sometimes, and you're going to have to pay people to play. Those were things that would be disgusting and talk about 10, 15 years ago and think, what is going on? It's crazy. It is. But we have to just wrap our arms around it, get a feel for it, take a deep breath, and realize that this is the world we live in. Let's make good decisions. It doesn't take anything away from coaching staffs or players who have worked hard. And I get it. I get it that young people are now being paid significant amounts of money. And if you ask me if I'd like it to go back the old way, no. Because I think athletes were taken advantage of, and we didn't see the big picture and all the monies that were being collected and put into university programs. No more. And so that may surprise people that I feel that way, but this is the world we live in. Embrace it, get after it. The principles and the ethics of the game, I can't address because I've not really been or seen situations, and I'm sure there are some things that are kind of upside down. But right now, it's in front of everybody. This is how we play the game. This is what it's going to be. It's probably never going to change for a while. I can live with that. and I can live with that. And I don't begrudge players. I don't begrudge coaches for leaving and going to another program that they can enhance their own livelihood and their families and the benefits there. That's just part of what America is, and that's the world we live in.
The Cougars got a nice conference opening win at Kansas State, and they had almost double the average turnovers, which is 10, and they had 19. AJ had 7 of his own. And watching that game and going back to my beat days in college and listening to you and guys like Majerus talk about conference play, it takes on a whole nother level. The game gets far more physical, and that was AJ's first conference game, and they're trying to rough him up and body him as much as possible. And I do think that's a learning experience, and I doubt the rest of the season we'll see 7 turnovers from him individually, because that's way too many, obviously. But with that in mind, I'm assuming from what I know of you that game was par for the course when you get into conference play, and that's what you should expect every single time you play.
I completely agree. And I think the thing, too, now is in getting in conference play, you go through the first 10 or 11 games and you're 12-1 and you haven't had a close game. And, obviously they had a loss to BYU, had a loss to UConn. But when you get into conference play, the physicality of the game changes. And I think that, number one, the competition changes. I mean, playing these preseason games where you're winning by 30 and 40 points, yeah, that's part of the process. You get bye games, you do that. That's what it is. But when you get to conference play, it's a whole different thing. Playing on away in someone else's, convention center or arena with 10, 20, 30,000 people screaming and going crazy, the intensity of the game, of just the competitiveness that takes place. It's just so much more fun to watch. And, you look at the Kansas State game, it was a 10-point game. AJ goes 24, he gets beat up. I mean, it was the physicality of that game was, we hadn't seen that in the last, 6-8 weeks of games. And, but, still, AJ 24, Tata had 11 and 16 rebounds.
Yeah.
What an amazing asset, this young man. I think about watching him play earlier on and then seeing him play now. It's just incredible to see. And Saunders has been who he is. Wright is a guy that this team is not what they are today if he's not in this. I mean, maybe they could have had someone else, but Wright has been a special addition to this team. And having the leadership and having his ability to get the ball to places and get the ball to guys and transition and in a half-court game. I think for me, if you're going to ask me who's been the biggest difference maker for me watching this team, it's Wright. And, every night it's, double figures. The other night against Kansas, 18, 4, and 5. He makes things happen. He hits big shots. He's he just has that experience of he doesn't play nervous.
No, he didn't get rattled.
Doesn't get rattled. His composure is amazing. And if I was going to give a guy the player of the month or whatever, or when we look back on this season, wherever they get, if they get to a Final Four, they win a national championship, they go to a Sweet 16, whatever happens, it doesn't happen if they don't have someone like Wright. And with his composure and ability to lead. And I watch it. You guys do the same thing. I mean, I'm watching games. I go there and watch games. I'm watching the players. I'm looking at what facial expressions. I'm looking at coaches, because those are the things that I dealt with as a coach. And I just see a lot of leadership on this team. And, and AJ's been thrown into a world where he'll be in the league next year, and there's all sorts of this and that. And that's tough to embrace and deal with. I think he's done a nice job of it. I know the couple of times that I've met him, he's just really personable, kind, and very respectful. And I watched him as he practiced in preseason. So he's obviously a special talent. But if you ask me, the two guys that have had the biggest influence on this team this year are Wright and Tata. And Tata has so improved and just dominating the boards and attacking the rim offensively and defensively. Fun to watch different guys. I don't think 3 months ago, we'd sit there and be talking about the huge influence that Wright and Keita have made. But obviously, they've been special. And if this team's going to go ahead and win a conference championship or get to deep run in the tournament or get to a Final Four, those two are going to be a big part of it.
I thought the most interesting word you threw in the middle of that answer was transition, because watching that game, seeing the physicality and all that, it feels like there's a pick-your-poison moment for BYU opponents now. There's very few teams of anyone who match up with Keita's size, physicality, athleticism, and relentlessness on the backboards. So I think most of them have to decide to defend with rebound with numbers. But if they do that, then BYU's transition game just carves them up. DeBanza in the open floor is a nightmare. Right in the open floor is a nightmare. So if you were prepping for this team, would you be getting numbers back because you're worried about Wright, DeBanza, Saunders, everybody else in transition? Or would you be committing numbers to the glass because there's no other way to deal with Keita? And if he gets 16 boards, that's going to kill you too.
I think it's a point well made, because you're thinking about those players that we've talked about. And Keita he's a bonus. I mean, we've watched him play the last couple of years. This year, he's taken it to another level, how he protects the rim and how he gets up and down the floor. I mean, he runs like a gazelle. He's bouncing around. He gets his hands. He's got a motor unlike anybody else on that team. I mean, his motor is at a whole different level, offensively transitioning, defensively transitioning, relentless to the boards. You just can't, teams don't have guys like that. And not only do we have the talent of AJ and Saunders and Wright, you see the things that they bring to the table and their ability to score. But if you're asking me who's had the biggest influence on the success of this team, it's Keita. I guess the word is he's relentless. And his motor is always on, and it doesn't matter what the circumstances are. And when you're worrying about how we're going to guard AJ and how are we going to guard Saunders and how are we going to guard Wright, how are we going to deal, the focus of a game plan is going to be on what can we do to take things away from them. And we saw the physicality in the last game, and, AJ was just bounced around. Well, welcome to Big 12 basketball.
Yeah.
And that's what it's going to be like night in and night out. They'll get used to it. They'll get tougher, and I think they'll adjust just fine. But for me, looking at this team, Wright and Keita are the guys that really, if you take your point guard and your 5-man and you consider what they've done in the preseason and what they're now doing in conference play, BYU's a scary team to play. And now, mind you, I say that, but I mean, you're looking at a league where, did we forget about Houston? Did we forget about TCU or Arizona, who was 1 or 2 in the country? I mean, we're talking about BYU and who they are and what's going on, but this league is going to be really competitive. You can't sleep on anybody, especially that top 5 or 6 teams that all have a chance to be in the tournament, to get to a Final Four. Man, it's going to be fun to watch, and I can't wait to. It's so much fun to go to those games in person. And occasionally I can't do that, and you watch them on television. But just getting close and being close enough to see the expressions and the anger and the energy and all the things that come with college basketball, and to see the excitement of the fans. And there's 20,000 folks or 19,000 at BYU going to those games. Very special time. Love being there. And love a coaching staff. Mind you, we're in a different world today. You guys, I know we haven't talked about it, but it's so funny for me to see like 18 guys on the bench.
Yeah, right. Coaches outnumber the players.
But that kind of is kind of the way it is, and man, it's working. So don't mess with it. But that's probably the biggest adjustment for me. I don't know how you deal with that many people, but. I like the 5, 6, 7 guys, who were. It was easier to control that and not be overwhelmed by it. But man, they're doing everything. Kevin Young is a special coach. He's got a great staff, and I love watching our team play. And there's some great opportunities here, and you'll see how it all plays out. But this is a team.
Right at the end of interviews, we seem to be having problems. Oh, you're back now. Okay.
It's not going to be a surprise to me to watch this team do special things this year, and you'll contributions from everyone. And then I go back to the coaching staff is just superb, and there's just such a good feel about watching them and the intensity which they play. So hang on, everyone. I think what we're about to watch is going to be really fun and really special for the fan base.
He's Steve Cleveland. He joins us every week right here on The Zone. Thanks, Steve. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
There's Steve Cleveland. When we come back, what is trending? The headlines are next.
It's time to get your morning started with the news you need to know. News update. This is what's trending with DJ and PK. Hashtag Utah Jazz.
We have to up our physicality, we have to up our intensity, and we have to up our anticipation on the weak side. As much as I would like to believe in my teammate guarding the ball, I have to anticipate what has to happen if they get beat. And I just felt like we were late on all those aspects tonight. Offensively, it wasn't our best night, and you still turn in 117 points. Our team is top half of the league offensively, and we're last defensively.
Last defensively, again, the Jazz blown out by the Blazers and blown out early. PK, I'm figuring you had time to get to bed early.
Oh, I did.
That thing was over. It started getting away late first quarter. It was over before halftime.
I had a sense of embarrassment watching that game.
That a team could be that horrific against a team as mediocre or below mediocre in Portland.
It felt like I was watching the Globetrotters and the Generals, and it was staged. Zero resistance defensively.
Yeah.
Just lob dunks constantly. I wanted to have a few laughs. I was waiting for somebody off the bench to take a bucket and pretend there was water in it.
That's old Globetrotter shtick right there.
I felt like I was watching the Generals.
Yeah.
And my wife is a former Washington General.
Washington High is nicknamed the Generals?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
In South Central L.A.?
Okay.
Yeah. I know they're not built to win, and I know Kessler's not there. But
nonetheless, I know.
I mean, it was just zero resistance. I'm surprised Hardy was that calm. I think that he got caught on that thing a few weeks ago, which nobody has a problem with, and now he's trying to play nice guy in his post games.
Try not to blow up too often.
Yeah.
All right, that was terrible. I got to take several deep breaths before I go out there. The thing is, it just happens so often. I mean, I'd have to go back and count it up, but I want to say they're at about a dozen games where they've given up 130 points. And there's no reason for that. I mean, you just can't be that bad. And there have been plenty of 135s and 140s, and this could have been a 140, but it was over.
Well,
and
they backed off in the fourth quarter.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're way down the bench.
Not that I have any idea, because I was sleeping.
They did back off in the fourth quarter, though.
I went to bed.
It was 111. I remember looking at it thinking, 111. 11-1. What a great number to end the quarter on. And they gave up another 3, and they ended it on 114. So that means it was only a 23-point fourth quarter.
I'm just wondering if he's taking it easy because these guys just aren't good enough, and you can't expect somebody to do something who that person can't do it. I'm not going to shoot a 65 in golf. It's just not going to happen.
So there's no point in getting mad at you.
So don't beat myself up over it because I'm not going to do it. I'm not good enough. I wonder if there's something there.
There are nights you think the rebuild is going pretty well, and the nights you're thinking this rebuild's never going to end. I mean, they did just a couple weeks ago. These guys beat the Spurs. They beat the Pistons. Right in a row.
Right, I was thinking, oh my gosh, if they would have had Kessler all season, this could be a team that could at least compete probably very well for the play-in game. Now I'm thinking, this team sucks.
Yeah, no. I was watching that thing, and I mean, Kessler's making better, but he can't fix this. There's just wide-open guys all over the court.
I know.
Jazz are off today. They play in Oklahoma City tomorrow. DJ and PK.
Hashtag NBA.
Kevin Durant savoring a win over the Phoenix Suns, saying he was happy to have some payback. Felt he was jettisoned, scapegoated in Phoenix. Bad feelings, bad vibes. And Houston beats Phoenix 197.
Yeah, I like these guys who do the play the victim and I'm this, I'm that. I mean, they got rid of multiple guys, and Phoenix has just played the night before.
Yep.
But if that's what it takes in another who gives a crap game in early January, great.
At no point did I expect the Phoenix Suns to beat the Thunder and Rockets on back-to-back nights, and they had just won on the late shot by Booker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Came pretty close to winning again, but sunk by a 19-point
The Suns are
quarter.
still without their starting. They haven't had their starting lineup. Literally only one game. This Green that they got in the trade for Durant played and got hurt immediately. The Suns have been a decent story so far this year.
Always look for the worst teams in the league and see what they're doing, see how it impacts the Jazz potential lottery odds. Not that it necessarily will impact draft position. We have no idea. We'll get to that point. But the Charlotte Hornets win again. They blow out the Thunder 124-97. The Thunder just turned into a 500 team here after a brilliant start. See how long this continues. I expect they'll get on another roll, but not yet. And
the Thunder.
Charlotte blew them out in the second quarter and hammered them again in the third.
Well, if the Thunder, not the Thunder, if Charlotte ever had their guys, they have a chance to be at least mediocrely decent. And Knippel's been a very nice pickup.
He has. He has shot the ball really well. Man, that was win number 13 for them, so they've now passed the Jazz. The Jazz are on 12 wins.
If I look at their roster and I look at the Jazz roster, I think their roster's better.
They've been drafting so high for so long, it ought to be better.
Yeah.
Win number 13 for the Clippers also. They beat the Warriors 103-102. Kerr gets kicked out in the fourth quarter. They hit the free throw. And they end up winning the game by 1 point, 103-102.
What's his face? What's that guy's name? The sharpshooter dude? He fouled out.
What's his face? Steph Curry did foul out.
Oh, that's his name.
Yeah, that's his name. Couldn't remember his name. Kawhi Leonard was 0 for 8 from 3, but they won anyway. The two guys who carried him through the fourth quarter, John Collins and Chris Dunn, two former Jazz men, combining for 17 of their 27 points in the fourth and the last 9 in the game. Go figure.
What's funny, Kerr and Curry, just add the Y, and you got Kerr and Curry. And they were complaining about the refereeing and all. They shot 27 free throws, and the Clippers shot 21. And you're the visiting team? I would take that.
Yeah.
Zubac returned. He had been out for a bit.
Good to have him back.
Yeah, he's a decent player.
So win number 13 for the Clippers, win number 13 for the Charlotte Hornets, the Jazz on 12. So the Jazz now, when it comes to the worst record in the league, there's 2 teams in the West worse than them, Sacramento and New Orleans, and 3 teams in the East, Pacers, Wizards, and Nets. So 6th worst record in the NBA as we sit here this morning.
6th worst record on Wedgwood Road?
6th worst record on Wedgwood Road. DJ and PK.
Hashtag college basketball.
Oh, the back in the day stories. Utah State and Colorado Springs to take on Air Force. I know you have memories, PK. Scotty G's got memories. He's been going there for about a decade now, calling games. And with the switch in leagues next year, Air Force will stay in the Mountain West, and Utah State will go to the newly reconstituted Pac-12, and Scotty's in Colorado Springs for the last time. So you guys will be able to do Remember When stories.
Yeah, and the good thing for him is he knows it. I did not know it, although I had a good idea. When I actually quit the Watchdog, I had a good idea it was coming.
Yeah.
But the Air Force Academy, they play in a building that same roof houses the hockey team, which is about 1 trillion times more important than basketball over there. They just have obvious limitations. And Joe Scott is still coaching, although he came back. He was there when I was there. And that they had basically a high school locker room, and that's where I had the opportunity. I was interviewing Jeff Johnson after a game once, and the showers were like, communal showers, and everybody gets the towel, wraps it around their waist. Not Majerus.
Over the shoulder. I've heard that story, and others like it. I'm fortunate. I have Majera stories of my own, but I don't have anything along those lines.
You've never seen him completely nude?
Nope.
Oh.
And I have multiple players have told me about it. A guy who worked for ESPN, who also worked here locally, I think you know Todd. Todd told he's got a story from the hotel, going to interview him in the hotel. Yeah. Nope. Yeah, the big man always was clothed around me. Lucky me.
During COVID.
Bill Marcroft told me stories. Woody told me stories. Yeah, there were stories.
I was in Vegas in COVID, and when you're driving in from Salt Lake, on the left is an adult gentleman's club. I think it's called Little Darlings, and everything was closed in Nevada. And on the marquee right there, now I've never been in the place, but on the marquee it said, "Sorry, we're fully clothed."
Yeah, there it is.
Got a chuckle.
Sorry. somebody had fun with the sign. Well, the Aggies are off to a 3-0 start in conference. However, they've beaten the 0-3 Bulldogs. They've beaten the 0-3 Spartans, and they're about to play the 0-3 Falcons. So might temper your enthusiasm. They did beat Colorado State, and CSU's 1-2. So they're starting off with the bottom of the league here. But you got to take care of business.
I've seen it. Calhoun's name already being tossed around.
Again.
Yeah.
It was tossed around a year ago.
I would think Bob Hurley is a dead man walking in Tempe. They'll go to 0-2 tomorrow night here in Provo, and he just isn't getting it done. I don't think he's very good. So they probably are going to be looking for a replacement.
Now, would a good coach want to go there? Do they have the money to succeed? In this era, that would seem to be the first question everybody asks, and all the coaches would know. So-and-so's got NIL money. So-and-so has a little. So-and-so has a lot. So-and-so has none at all.
I really don't know.
Yeah.
I would assume no. But.
Right, because they're trying to get it all to football and the push is on there.
Yeah. Which is fine with me.
But he's winning, and if it's not one school, it's another. Somebody. I mean, they're going to They're going to come calling and knocking. He's doing too good a job. He's winning too much. All eyes are going to turn towards him.
Right.
But that's been interesting. That Scotty had that take with the Utes and the Cougars as it became Kyle was hiring coach. So he's just like, relax. There's more good coaches out there, and he listed all the coaches. The number. I mean, it's like, I think it's 9 coaches in 10 years or something in football and basketball combined.
Yeah, but you never know.
No, and he's sitting there with a lot of confidence because they keep hitting.
Well,
especially in basketball.
Right now,
yeah,
we'll see.
But you can miss.
This will be a bigger test in the Pac-12. They won't have some of these completely, totally gimmies all the time.
BYU, that game is on the Sports Zone tonight, 6:30. Scotty on the call for the pregame at 6:30. Tip-off at 7 o'clock. The Aggies are 12-1 and 3-0 in league, and we're expecting 13-1 and 4-0 in league. BYU's 12-1, 1-0 in the Big 12. They moved up a spot. They are now number 9 after beating K-State. DJ and PK.
#NFL.
3 more openings. The Raiders let Pete Carroll go. The Cardinals let Jonathan Gannon go after 3 years. And Kevin Stefanski is out in Cleveland after 4 years. He's in the playoffs a couple times, and they give him multiple bad quarterback situations. That, and honestly, I mean, with Carroll, you could say with his age, maybe he lost his fastball and all that, but the Raiders are a mess. You can go in there and fix that in 1 year?
Well, I don't know you can fix it in 1 year, but, I mean, that
really was terrible.
Bombed.
Yeah.
So there's a difference between fixing it in 1 year. But, I mean, that's basically what you sign up for. Stefanski was there for 6 years, not 4, but and it seems silly, but what do I know?
It does seem silly. Some of these moves. It's Pete Carroll had a couple of head coaching jobs where he lasted 1 year, and he had other jobs where he's lasting 14 years, 9 years, even 3 years. Yeah, and the 1 year jobs were with the Jets and the Raiders, perpetually tormented organizations.
It's just that, I mean, in the last 2 years, if you want to look at it, he is 8-26.
Yep. And maybe he is losing his fastball in his 70s.
Not Carroll, Stefanski.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm getting in his 70s. It's age discrimination by you.
Well, no. I think he got fired because he went to a lousy organization.
Right, but you've mentioned it twice in his 70s.
I know,
so
and
he was in his 50s.
Because that is the predominant thing everyone's saying
age
about
discrimination.
I get it.
And I will not have it.
Stefanski gets another job right away because the whole league looks at him like, man, they gave him the Watson nightmare, and then they gave him 4 quarterbacks and 2 rookies. So he played the veterans because they were the best, and then they traded the veterans out from under him, and he had to play rookies who hadn't even been practicing.
Man, you said that all in one breath. That was impressive.
I think that the front office absolutely gave him an unplayable hand.
Well, how about the back office? Maybe they should move up to and switch spots then.
And that might be where the real problem is. And the side office might be clueless as well. Detroit Lions coach Matt Campbell, when asked, rated his coaching job as a freaking F after the team struggled amidst a 9-8 campaign, missing out on the NFL playoffs for the first time since 2022.
What? Say that again.
He gave him a freaking F.
That seems harsh, no?
It does. And I think actually watching the Lions struggle this year is part of the reason. I think in a crowded field where there have been a lot of turnaround stories, so the Coach of the Year award could go to Jacksonville. It could go to Denver. It could go to New England for sure. Vrabel in New England would be a decent winner. It could go to Seattle. But what about Chicago? Ben Johnson, he leaves Detroit, and they're like 6 games worse, and he goes to Chicago, and what are they? Like 6 games better. I have to go look at their record last year, but about 6 games better. I mean, he leaves one place. Ben Johnson might know his stuff.
And because I have to keep the honor of Walter Cronkite, it's Dan Campbell, not Matt Campbell.
Thank you.
Matt Campbell is the new Penn State coach.
Yes.
And Rocco Beck is the new Penn State quarterback. And 2/3 of Iowa State team is the new Penn State team.
Everybody's moving.
Which will lead right into what we got next.
All right, let's do it, Yuck.
Hashtag college football.
PK, would you like to talk about transfers in college football?
Yes, but first I want to talk about the FBS final.
With Montana State, it's a championship subdivision. FBS is the bowl subdivision.
Yeah, I never get that. I always say 1AA.
It should have been 1AA. They should go back to that. It was much clearer. I know.
That game last night was as good a game as you're going to see.
Did you feel like that made the Steelers-Ravens game look like a calm little affair?
No, that was good too. But this had, no one was crying. The quarterback for Illinois State was literally sobbing out on the field when it looked like they had it.
Yep.
And then they get the kick blocked, and they missed the PAT and OT.
Yep.
That game.
They were down 28-14, 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns. They had the field goal attempt to take the lead in regulation, and they had the PAT in overtime. And
Not that that's totally pure, but we know these guys aren't getting $5 million. And there's something.
Not yet, anyway.
I would be shocked if that ever happened.
Because if you're underclassmen, you could transfer and get paid somewhere.
Yeah,
but you wouldn't think they'd get the $5 million. Yeah.
And to see these guys just lay it out like that in an era in which we've got guys literally leaving all over. It's musical chairs. I mean, basically these quarterbacks in college now, they're swingers. I'm going to be with you today, and then I'm going to be with somebody else tomorrow. And then these guys have transferred. Sorsby, Levitt.
3 schools is no longer surprising. We used to giggle about 3 schools. He went to 3 schools.
That was usually a kid who had hype and didn't live up to it and was trying to salvage something, and usually it ends up being nothing. And now it's just commonplace. And then we had a kid from, committed to Nebraska. But now he's going to go to Kentucky.
Kenny Mitchell,
so 2 days ago, he was committed to Kentucky or Nebraska. Now he's committed to Kentucky, and he went to Notre Dame. It's like, oh, my goodness. This is so screwed up.
Bryce Underwood expected to stay at Michigan as the starting quarterback for Kyle Whittingham. So
I think that's excellent news for the Utes.
Seems less likely that a quarterback could be willing to transfer to Michigan, right?
I wouldn't see why they would.
No playing time there. Underwood will be the guy.
probably this year and next year because he's got to wait 3 years.
Same class as Bird Ficklin.
And he's just finished his regular first year freshman.
Yep.
It's not a redshirt freshman. So you never know what's going to happen. But I think that's good news for Whittingham for what he's trying to establish, and good news for the Utes. But when it comes to Michigan, and I'm showing my true loyalties to the state of Michigan today.
Wearing Michigan State gear after wearing Michigan gear yesterday.
I hate Michigan.
Do you really?
Yeah.
You're all about the green?
I'm a Michigan State guy. I always have been. It goes back to my relationship with Buck.
Buck?
Urban Magic
Johnson. DJ PK.
#NHL.
Schmaltz, pass across. Dursey trying to pass it back. It comes to Kraus. Kraus, Schmaltz, back door, and they score! Sean Dursey wins it in overtime here at Madison Square Garden. 3-2 the final score, and Dursey taps it in after the setup from Kraus and Schmaltz.
Utah Mammoth. 4 points in 3 games in New York and New Jersey. They get out of the Big Apple. That's a pretty good trip right there. Dylan Gunther scores his 21st goal of the year to tie it up 1-1 in the second, but they are trailing. Gave up a couple of power plays. They were trailing 2-1 going to the third. Michael Carcone got the goal to tie it at 2, and then you hear Sean Dursey with the game winner in overtime, and they get out of there with another W. Nice. Good trip. 4 points in 3 road games. You'll take it. That's a pace that'll get you to the postseason right there.
Yeah, but I mean...
long way to go. Tight race, but a good trip.
We're waiting.
Yep.
We're all a bunch of Morgan Scallies. We're waiting.
Yeah, right. They are tied for 9th in the West right now. They announced after the game they've traded Valimaki, defenseman who had been injured and was in the AHL. He was up last year for a little while, though. But he's been traded to Carolina for future considerations. They had injuries, needed defensemen, and they've got a lot of defensemen. We'll talk with Mike Folta about that.
Better than past considerations.
Past considerations. All right, DJ PK, that is what is trending. Brought to you by Shamrock Plumbing. There's no job too big or too small. Get the personal touch with Shamrock Plumbing. Mike Folta, Utah Mammoth radio voice, joins us next. Austin Meek, Michigan writer for The Athletic at 9 o'clock. It's a Jazz Ticket Tuesday. We'll give away tickets at 8:30 and 9:30 right here on The Zone.
Whirls around and down. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone is your exclusive home of the Utah Jazz. And we want to send you to the Delta Center to see the Jazz in action. Listen every Tuesday for the Jazz Ticket Tuesday Sounder at 30 past the hour, every hour, all day long. And if you're caller number 12, you'll be on your way to an upcoming game.
Buy one, you'll get one free.
It's Jazz Ticket Tuesday, every Tuesday throughout the NBA season on your radio home for the Utah Jazz. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, and we are joined by Mike Folta, the radio voice of the Utah Mammoth. Mike, where in the world are you? You still in New York, lounging about after 3 games in 5 days?
We're somewhere in Manhattan as I check out my hotel window, and thankfully not for much longer because we're about to get on a jetliner and head back to the Wasatch Front, which we've been in New York for long enough, I would say. Great city to come visit, but visit, the key word. At some point, you got to go back home. And the Mammoth picked up 2 out of 3 wins on this trip. They whomped the New York Islanders 7-2. Then they lost to New Jersey 4-1. Then last night, a thrilling overtime winner from Sean Dursey led to a 3-2 victory at Madison Square Garden. Utah won in overtime at the Garden last year. It was Clayton Keller who was the hero in that game. This year, the defenseman Sean Dursey gets the OT winner. It seems like the Utah Mammoths save a lot of dramatics for MSG and for the world's most famous arena, as they call it. But it was one heck of a game last night, and it was a big swing game for this team as well to pick up 2 points. You win 2 out of 3 on the road trip, and now it's a happy plane ride back for 7 straight home games coming up at the Delta Center.
I don't want to go nuts here, but does the phrase make or break have any application to the 7-game homestand?
I don't think you're going nuts at all. I think this is a huge stretch. And last year, the Mammoth had a similar 7-game homestand in the middle of January, basically the same exact time. Entering that 7-game homestand, Utah was 5 points out of a playoff spot, and they had a losing record on that homestand. They missed some opportunities, and they finished 6 points out of a playoff spot. And so they lost a little bit of ground, but more than that, they lost time. And when you're playing at home, the expectation is in the NHL that you're winning around 2 out of 3. That seems to be kind of the mark that most playoffs teams are able to hit. You win 2 out of 3 at home. You're around 500 on the road. That should put you in a good spot. I think the Mammoth might need to win 5 out of 7 or even better to keep pace in this really busy Western Conference. Now, you do have Logan Cooley coming back after the Olympic break in February, so that's going to be a huge boost. But I don't think you can afford to wait for Cooley to come back so that you can make your move in the standings. The Mammoth have had a really road-heavy schedule in the first half of the year. We've been saying that over and over again. We've been saying, just wait. The home games are going to come. The schedule is going to turn in Utah's favor. Well, now it is, and the other side of that is you have to make good on these home games coming up, and it starts tomorrow against the Ottawa Senators, a team that Utah has never beat, strangely enough. So a good opportunity with 7 straight games at home. Mammoth have been a pretty good home team this year, better than they were last year. And if they can maximize their opportunities on this homestand, they should be, I would think they would be above that cut line once the dust settles on these 7 home games.
Dylan Guenther with goal number 21. Is it safe to assume midway through the season, and assuming he stays healthy, this will be 4 years in the league, and his goal totals are going to grow every year? The point totals, he keeps topping it, and we're still not sure where the ceiling is for him, right?
We're not. He's on pace for 40 goals right now, and if he gets to that number, that puts him in the elite of the NHL goal scorers. And it's not just the number of goals he's scoring, it's when they're coming as well. Yeah. He's got 5 game-winning goals this year. That's up near the tops in the league. Not quite the most, but I think it's second or third right now. He's got 3 overtime winners this year. That's tied for the most in the NHL. So not only does he score, a lot of goals, but he scores big goals for the Mammoth. And he's been even better. We were talking about this, DJ and PK, last week, how Guenther has been one of the guys to elevate his play in the absence of one of Utah's other young stars in Logan Cooley. And I think it's 14 games now without Cooley, and Guenther has 11 goals, I want to say. There's only a few guys that have more goals in the NHL since the start of December than Dylan Guenther, and they're names that even casual fans would recognize. Nathan McKinnon, Connor McDavid, Steven Stamkos. Those are the 3 guys, at least as of Sunday, who were the only ones to have more goals in the NHL since the start of December, more goals than Dylan Guenther. So he's in good company, and he's been turning on the Jets recently. And he's really become more than just a goal scorer, too, guys, like more than just a shooter. That's what we know him for, his shooting ability. But you look at his goals, and he's using his speed to create chances. He's being strong in front of the net and kind of out-positioning guys, out-muscling guys. And so he's developed into more than just a sniper this year. He's not just on Overwatch. He's full, like, Navy SEAL commando. He can do it all.
Nice. Yeah, that first goal was a classic example of being like a shot out of a cannon, boom, right on top of the net there. Last year, we talked about Durzee's absence. It seemed like we talked about it all season. And now, as we got our initial exposure to following the team on a game-by-game basis, this year we can see why, because for a defenseman, man, he's on a little bit of a run himself here in the last, 10, 12 games.
Yeah, I believe it's points in 9 of his last 10. It's a great point, PK, because he plays a bit of a high-risk, high-reward game where he's going to push the issue up the ice. And when him and Sergachev on that top pair, when they're at their best, they're really fun to watch because they can move the puck so well. They can contribute offensively, but they can also handle their own business in the defensive zone. And we heard from Durzi after the game last night in New York, and he scored the overtime winner for the Mammoth. And hearing from him after, I didn't realize this, but his grandfather had actually passed away a couple weeks ago, and he told us that he took a penalty late in that third period. He was furious, guys. Like, he could not believe it. He was maybe lucky he didn't get another penalty for the way that he was going after the officials. But he slams the penalty box door shut, and apparently, according to him, he said a little prayer, maybe talking to his grandpa, and he came out of that penalty box late in the third like a bat out of hell. I mean, I thought he was going to score right there because he comes out of the penalty box, joins the attack, and very nearly willed Utah to a lead in regulation. He had a great scoring chance late in the third, didn't score there, but he was the one to tap it in off a great play from Nick Schmaltz in overtime. So only fitting that Durzi gets that game-winning goal. He is such an emotional piece for this Utah group, and you saw a lot of emotion when he scored too. He's fun to watch, and he can do a lot for this team. And when he's going, well, I'll say this: Utah's going to need him to continue to play like this if the Mammoth are going to reach the postseason.
They traded Valimaki away for future considerations. And a year ago, as PK points out, defensemen were at a premium. It seems like now that move suggests that they not only like the guys they have, they like the depth behind them, and they probably like a couple young prospects in the AHL. Yep. So now just get him somewhere he can play, and the defenseman situation is just turned around completely in 12 months, I guess.
Yeah, totally flipped, DJ. And yeah, future consideration. It's a new guy out of Quebec, part of the French-speaking Canada. So we'll get to see him play here shortly. That's a joke for anybody wondering. Future considerations doesn't mean anything. But it's honestly the organization doing right by Juuso Valimaki as well, because this guy was in the minor leagues in Tucson, and now he gets a chance to compete for a spot in Carolina. He was making around $2 million, so that was probably a little bit expensive of a price tag to kind of get anything back. And so you clear his $2 million from the books, and you give him a chance to play, in a different spot as well, a bit of a fresh start. And yeah, he had been injured last year, and aside from that, the Mammoth have just had other guys elevate their game. And head coach Andre Tourigny mentioned this when he was asked about Olli Mata the other day here in New York, because Mata is a guy who's been out of the lineup, even though he's going to go represent Team Finland at the Olympics. Really good player, good veteran, guy who's won a couple cups. He was acquired last year to fill the holes last year that you were talking about, DJ. But now he can't find himself in the lineup because guys like Nick DeSimone have stepped up and have made it impossible to take them out of the lineup. And you're healthier on the back end than you were last year. Last year, the Mammoth at this time were still without John Marino and Sean Durzi, two huge pieces of their top two defense pairs. Well, now you have those guys in the lineup, and Nick DeSimone has fought his way into the lineup. And so there's going to be a couple guys on the outside looking in. Valimaki had been one of those, pushed down the depth chart. Olli Mata is the 7th D right now. And also Dmitry Simashev, a young rookie who we saw earlier in the year. He's down in the AHL ripening as we speak. And there's just not a spot for him up with the big club right now. It's not because he played terribly that he's in the AHL. He just needs a little more time to develop and become the star defenseman that we believe that he can be.
Well, when you said future, I thought it was the rapper. I was thinking, sweet, man. The rapper's coming to town.
No rapper, no French-Canadian hockey player. Future considerations could be anything. It could be nothing. It could be a bottle of wine. I was talking with Larry Plow, who's in our front office, and as a front office member, he got traded one time. I believe it was from New York to St. Louis, where he got traded as a front office member as a part of like an actual deal like that involved active players. And I think he got shipped off to St. Louis as like an assistant general manager or something like that. But it was future considerations, technically part of part of that swap as well, and maybe a couple cases of wine too.
Or a 6 or a Coors Light. You never know.
Well, that's what we would trade you for, PK. But
I think it would just be a pint. It wouldn't be a 6-pack.
Yeah, that's right. Right. I'd go for maybe some discounted PBRs, or something like that.
Mine would be near beer.
Okay.
What does it mean perception-wise for his standing in the league, in the game of hockey, to have Keller make the Olympic team?
It's huge. It's huge, especially this year with NHL players returning to the Olympics for the first time since 2014. All eyes are going to be on Milan, and I think this event has only been heightened by what we saw last year at the Four Nations, where Keller was left off that roster. I mean, the Four Nations tournament captured not just the hockey world, but the sporting world last February, and now there's so much anticipation for what we're going to see coming up in the Olympics that to be a part of Team USA is to be in the sporting spotlight, not just hockey, but the sporting spotlight coming up here in mid-February. And Keller was with Team USA at World Championships in the summer. Now, for those who don't know, World Championships, it's not really comparable to the Olympics because for some strange reason, they play the World Championships while the NHL is in the playoffs. So you're missing a lot of the best players who are playing in the NHL playoffs. So it's not really a best-on-best tournament. But nonetheless, Keller represented the Americans at that tournament and won gold for Team USA. It was the first time they had won gold at World Championships in over 90 years. And Keller was the captain of that group, played really well, and he's coming off a career year last year. But, I mean, you think of what Clayton Keller has been through this season, losing his father around Thanksgiving and now being named to the Olympic team, something that he was really mad about, something he was mad about not making the Four Nations team last year, and now he kind of flips that script this year. It's a huge deal, and it vaults him into another level of stardom within the NHL.
We could talk to you for a while longer, and I know you got like 10 more jokes that need a rim shot, but you also have to catch a bus because you said it's a great city to visit, but you don't actually live there. So we'll let you go, Mike, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Thank you, guys. And as you know, the bus waits for no
one.
Radio people, especially radio people.
So you're leaving New York today? Is that it?
Yeah, we're flying out. We'll get back.
Start
to Utah.
spreading the news. Folta's leaving today.
We took a big bite out of the Big Apple, fellas. We'll see you.
All right, 4 points in 3 games. Thanks, Mike. There's Mike Folta. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Did you know I brought up Future, the rapper? Which I know you know his stuff.
Absolutely not.
Now, I called up his Wikipedia page. He's the unmarried father of 7 children by his account, each with different women, although another child's paternity has been litigated. And then you go down the next paragraph. Future is a Christian and has publicly acknowledged his faith on multiple accounts.
All right. That seems like a segment all to itself right there.
Now, you guys are the Bible scholars here. We see any...
It's not ideal.
Like conflict here or any dichotomy, maybe?
You see where possibly,
but
a thing or two.
Love is love. You love who you love.
There it is. DJ and PK coming up. Austin Meek, Michigan writer for The Athletic, is here at 9 o'clock. It's a Jazz Ticket Tuesday. We're giving those tickets away at 8:30 and 9:30. The question of the day, football fans, is coming up. Stay with us.
This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G.
Don't touch that button.
Check this out. Eric Weddle, kind enough to join us.
We need to get back to players that want to be part of our university, that will appreciate what the university can give them. The culture, the buy-in, what Coach Morgan and those guys are going to be emphasizing day in and day out of being great men on and off the field, right? Future leaders, future husbands and fathers, like those programs are what I want my son to be a part of. It's not the guys that are money hungry. We're not going to beg people to stay at our university. We're not going to overpay guys because they got other universities that are offering more money. Then if that's the case and you don't appreciate what this school can give you, then good luck, because we're going to be fine. The University of Utah is an amazing school with amazing support, and those who want to be a part of it, let's ride.
It's Hanson Scotty, weekdays from noon to 3, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Got a question up on our page here. Utah will officially introduce Morgan Scalley at a press conference on Tuesday. How tough of a job will it be?
A firestorm.
A firestorm?
Yeah.
How is it a firestorm? A firestorm of a job. I don't usually hear
because
that.
there's a lot of stuff swirling around the program right now.
I think the last I don't know, week and a half has been a firestorm.
Right.
But I think that settles down.
This is what he's stepping into now.
But it settles down. I feel like it's settling down right now.
With the portal, I don't know.
Okay.
I hope so. I hope you're right. And I can't say that completely because you're hiring a brand new offensive staff. And, at least with Kyle taking his guys, they've all been together.
Mm-hmm.
You're taking a bunch of guys. Here you go, guys.
Yep.
Away you go. And think about this. This program, for 2 decades, has defined in a crazy world that is college football stability. And we do the same thing every day at this time, every October 21st. Every year, October 21st at 2 o'clock for 2 decades, they did the same thing. And so now it's a little, firestorms, I'm just making a point. But it's unsettling right now because there's a lot of, we don't know. And there's always a form of we don't know, more so now than ever with the portal because you're bringing in so many new dudes every single year. Virtually every team is doing this. So it sort of washes out a little bit that you're competing against a bunch of guys that are brand new over there, too. And so there's a lot of unknown, but there's more unknown now than we've had in 20 years.
But it is part of the gig. To me, there's he's got to make one hire on the defensive side of the ball. It's the offensive side of the ball where, if you want to use the word firestorm, I mean, even if that's hype, I think everyone gets your point. But even a year ago, with Kyle being the picture of stability, it was new OC, new running back coach, new wide receiver coach.
Sure. The wide receiver coach brought his best receiver with him, and that kid was the best receiver. The running back coach brought his running back with him, and he was the best running back. And the OC brought the quarterback, and he was the best quarterback. Now you got none of that.
So
those guys are still here, but their brand new coach, Devin Dampier, has never run a play for anybody but Jason Beck. So even though it was new to Utah, those guys weren't new to each other.
And all of that still rests on the offensive line, which had to be rebuilt no matter what.
That's absolutely true also. So you combine all this with a rookie head coach. He's still a rookie head coach. At the end of the day.
Nice. To mix and match.
So there's a certain
line
unknown that goes into that. And
well, there's definitely some unknowns. To your point, the number of unknowns in college football is climbing everywhere. Even for the coaches
there's a little sense of a wash, although a lot of these guys go and bring a player. The Oklahoma coordinator comes from Washington State, and he brings Mateer, the quarterback, a la New Mexico, to here. These guys aren't bringing anybody with them. As far maybe they will.
We don't know that yet.
Right.
I mean, they might be bringing there's a good wide receiver at Utah State in the portal. So
I understand that.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But we have to let guys land, and all that's got to work out. To me, that's the bigger question. How tough of a job it'll be? Tell me how much money he has in relation to everyone else. You can sit here and try to figure out today, but everything's escalating so quickly. Okay, $5 million quarterbacks didn't used to be a thing.
But
they are now.
1 cent quarterbacks didn't used to be a thing.
That's true.
Did they have any less money than what they had? Probably not. And with that same amount of money, they just went 11-2.
But in relation to everybody else, as everyone else accelerates,
so
can
Utah
they accelerate
is
with
falling
them?
down?
I don't know. And I don't know where they'll be in the future.
Leave the rapper alone.
I'm not the one who went into his Wikipedia page and read about all his heirs.
I'd be ticked if some of those kids, they're cutting into their inheritance.
Right?
Hey, could you use a little protection here, man? There's only so much money to go around. I think that this is a topsy-turvy time, and there's still a lot of fans haven't gotten over what just happened. Here's a man who spurned his alma mater, wouldn't even say their name, and blah, blah, blah. Each week, this quarterback, he's this, he's that, he's blah, 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 blah. Hey, could you tell us about Bear Bachman? No. He won't even do that. That just warmed the cockles of all Ute fans everywhere. And now he takes off. He's a traitor. Not in my mind. I'm not saying to me, but in some folks' mind. I got it at the gym yesterday. All the time.
There was one job.
I put my glasses on, I wear my hat, I have my hoodie on, and I still get it.
Terrible disguise. You need the glasses and the fake nose.
I thought it was a brilliant disguise.
Okay.
And so with that in mind here, yes, this is a crazy time. And there's a lot of people that aren't over because they put their faith in that man. He was us. It would be the same thing when and if Dillingham leaves. I'm home. Literally the first words he said when he was introduced. The very first words Dillingham said, I'm home.
So
but
then
the bottom
lesson...
line is you can't trust a ham.
So, there it is.
Sometimes they're full of baloney. He cut the cheese out of town.
Got any more? I mean, I don't want to get in your way. I was going to make a point, but what's the point of that?
Man, you know what my favorite meat is? A gabagool.
I don't even know what that means.
It's 9 o'clock right now.
Kind of. A little bit.
It's 9 o'clock somewhere.
In Chicago. It's 9 o'clock in Chicago right now, and in Dallas. Yeah.
And in virtually the entire country of Mexico.
Oh, yeah. Is that mostly Central Time Zone?
Yeah, I think there's a little slice over by El Paso that's Mountain.
Okay.
Juarez. Yeah. Double check that, but I think that's what it is based on my...
That'll give me something to do. Time zones in Mexico. I assume Baja California is Pacific time.
I think the high majority of the country is central. But so much stuff going down. And I don't think they're over what their guy is done to them or has done. Well, we left the program in a good spot. To some people, they didn't. But the fact is, once he took the Michigan job, the only thing he was concerned about was advancing the program for Michigan, not advancing anybody else's program. That's just the way it is, man.
Morgan's the head coach, puts a stamp on the program.
Hopefully,
the thing that looks like it's in a good place is the roster. I just saw in the transfer portal. You hate to quote any numbers because probably ought to update them by now. But there were Ute fans celebrated on social media because they were one of a handful of teams that didn't have very many transfers.
Yeah, but you've already lost 3 starters on defense.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to the guys who naturally
out of eligibility, right? Off to the NFL or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what does that mean? You're losing a premier defensive lineman.
Of all the things that create the firestorm, how high would you put that on your list? Because on the one hand, yep, it's talent and they're starters and right. But on the other hand, you got Morgan and Sharif Shah, and the one thing that we know, because they're still here, and those 2 guys are the guys who are coaching safeties and corners and doing a great job bringing guys along. But is it too much all at once, though?
Yes, because they were coming to a program that was established. Now it's brand new. They don't know. Whatever you've done before doesn't matter.
It isn't brand new.
It is too.
Morgan and Sharif are still there.
Doesn't matter. Morgan is not even close to his same role.
I get that. But I think it's going to matter that those 2 are still there. Now,
I
that
hope
might
it
be
does,
too much talent all at
but
once, and the young guys coming along. Maybe you don't have enough young guys coming along, but you do have the transfer portal to fill
Too much
in.
assumption right now. And we didn't have to assume much with Utah because they were stable. They did the same thing. The guys came back, blah, 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 blah. Very little change.
You and I had a lot of confidence in the changes they made offensively a year ago, but I think a lot of Ute fans had a lot of questions. There was a lot of stress over whether that was going to work or not.
That's always been to the offensive perspective. The one place where they haven't been stable is an offensive coordinator, and that's pretty much it. But every guy they throw in there rushes for 1,000 yards. I mean, they've had so many of them. Last year, Parker as a freshman at Washington State ran for like 700-plus yards. For a first-year freshman, that's pretty – in a passing offense.
Yeah.
So we thought he was going to be good enough. He was good enough. They went 11-2.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Brendan Sorsby's getting reported $5 million to be Texas Tech's quarterback next season. How much, if any, is this stuff hurting your fandom of college football?
Smashed it.
Daryl, it's a joke. 3 exclamation points.
I would go 4, if not 5. For each million, I'd give an exclamation point.
Nobody plays for the school anymore. They just play for the money. Steve says he's out. I don't care anymore.
I don't care anymore.
Thank you, Phil.
We're just running in circles is what we're doing. That's why Yak played Austin Post coming back. You know him as Post, don't call me Karl Malone.
I hate to derail the show, he says, pausing before he derails the show.
And I hate that you constantly do it, and I have to bring it back on track.
That's almost never happened.
Jeez, that's my role.
But
call me the track man.
Yeah. The country version of Post Malone is good. I find myself singing along in the car.
No
This
question.
might be what drags me over to country. I've been waiting for it to happen forever. And I need to do it if I'm going to be all things to all people. I got to commit to it. And I just haven't.
You need to do it if you're going to enjoy music. Forget about all things to all people. Just do like I do. I am an absolute narcissistic dope. And I care about foremost and really only myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yous all can, do what? Yes. I mean, he did it's genius move by Posty.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to, instead of that fancy house that he has at the Canyon, he's going to buy the whole block with the money he's been rolling in. He's a talented artist.
He had some help. He couldn't make that mess all by himself.
That's good.
Yeah.
I like that.
I like that song.
I know
that's
you
what
do.
That's what I found. That's what I found is singing along to it in the car. Good thing nobody was in the car. That's all I can say.
Why would you bring up the tune if you didn't like it?
I just like it. I don't know.
Everybody does.
Just enjoying it in the moment.
I had some help.
I didn't have a big plan when I said that. I was just enjoying it.
Okay, right on.
All right, now let's get the show back on track. Mark, college football is just another pro league. I like it more than the NFL, but I'm not sure how much longer. I do think it's good the athletes are getting paid. It shows how abusive the student-athlete moniker is in football and men's basketball. It's insane what the athletes are getting paid.
Well, I think that just about any coach, Steve Cleveland, retired coach that we talk to weekly now, is saying, yeah, the premise of these youngsters getting paid, I don't know that anybody has a problem with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it only makes sense. People are going to see them. When you go to the game, you're going to see them. You're not going to see the coach. The coach will not make one play. Devin Dampier at Allegiant Stadium was sensational. Not Morgan Scalley, not Jason Beck. Dampier. Now, they put him in the position to be, so I'm not discounting the importance. But when we actually go to the games,
the guy who's running away from people is Devin Dampier.
Yeah. And throwing fourth down, a 40-yard pass for a touchdown. I think it was to Buchanan. And all that stuff. It was great, man. And then you talk to him afterward, and he's just an effervescent kid who's so bubbly. You feel good talking to the young man. Why shouldn't he get some of that money? There's no question. But all the stuff that has been, as your Mark talks about, unintended consequences, has been by their acknowledgement. So you got the coaches saying, yeah, but then in the next breath, it's out of control. So it's really interesting on that how coaches will say, sure, yes, they should be, but it's out of control.
Well, yeah.
It's like the system, we just went nuts the other way. There's got to be some middle ground that can, and fans want, whether it's pro or college, which is essentially the same now, and I've been calling it the same for years, they want some loyalty. I'm a Ute. I'm a Cougar. I'm a whatever. You're not, man. I want to love you, but you don't really love the fact that you're a Ute or whomever, and we're just using them because they're local, but it could be anybody. I mean, Sam Levitt now down in the Valley, my gosh, that is a dirty word.
I just find that.
And this time a year ago, he was a hero.
Yeah.
He was one of us, man. Oh, my gosh, we're going to be right back next year. He's going to lead us. Yeah, we leave Scottaboo, but we got Sam. Now it's damn.
I'm with David Clark on this. David says, it is what it is. You either take it or leave it. It isn't changing, and it's hard to leave it.
I don't know that it isn't changing. I think there can be
what they're missing from
some
the pros.
Guardrails.
Well, the guardrails, what they're missing, and this is where coaches are right, even if they're maybe it sounds like they're whining, but they're right. It's like everybody's a free agent every year. Well, this isn't the NFL then, because the NFL, everybody isn't a free agent every year.
So it's worse.
And fans don't want to have to relearn the whole roster. They want to have some familiarity with the players, the storyline, the talent.
The whole roster doesn't turn over.
It just freaks the coaches out that it could.
Well, and the fans. And if it's a premier player. Now, I don't have any problem with Smith Snowden seeking more money.
But he's a premier player.
And last year he showed loyalty, and everybody was so jacked. And the rumor was he just turned down BYU. Well, he comes this year, played well. I mean, they went 11-2. So early in the season, he was playing both ways as they got their feet on the ground underneath them with the offense there. And now apparently he's gone. He was, somebody put out yesterday, he was at Colorado. I love the young man. I mean, he's a great kid. He'd come up to you, shake your hand, look you in the eye. How you doing today? Great kid. And the game of life, that kid's a winner through and through. I have no doubt about it.
Which, as you always like to point out, is way more important.
To me, it is.
Yeah.
I don't give a crap about wins and losses.
You say that every time a high school kid can't quite make it in college, or a college kid can't quite make it in the pros.
Right.
But yeah, they're a good person.
That's the most important.
I know.
That's by far it's the most important. Overwhelming. They'll get over it and go live a good life. That's what we're here for. But the Ute fan may be dismayed minimally that another kid that we thought was our own, who shunned the other guy, and we hate the other guy, now is leaving, and maybe he goes to the other guy. What's next? Whittingham becoming defensive coordinator in a few years at BYU? Come on! Had enough of that.
Well, he's wearing blue now, so it seems like less of a transition.
Dark blue.
True story.
That's why I'm proudly a Michigan State green.
Today. And who knows what tomorrow will bring. Matt! How sick are you of this, or how much has it affected your fandom with all the money and the transferring in college football? Matt says, a lot. There needs to be a cap. A lot of people are going to that. Some kind of like a salary cap like the pros have. And Travis says, it doesn't matter to finally getting paid, but make them unionize and sign contracts, not letters of intent. So make them unionize and make them agree to a cap. How are you going to do that? They're not even employees yet. They are, but they aren't. You
establish your own, and whether they agree to it or not remains to be seen.
Nobody will stick to the cap, though. I mean, that was essentially what they just tried with.
And I think they'll continue to try it. Yeah, but why can't I sign you? Say I'm a school, you're a player.
Okay.
I'll give you this money.
But you got to sign a multi-year deal.
Yeah, and it has nothing to do with unions or whatever. Mm-hmm. I'm not in a union, but I'm contracted, and I had to get a lawyer and the whole spiel, and I'm going to hold them to that, and they're going to hold me to that, and away we go.
You could do that. You've just made them an employee, it sounds like. Maybe, and this is where you get into lawyers and accountants, and, you're an independent contractor, you're not an employee. Okay.
Okay, but I had a part-time job for like 18 years, and the large portion of that I was under contract.
Yeah.
and I had to adhere
Yes, you
to
were.
it.
I can vouch for this. Yes, you were.
Yeah, and
you had to adhere to it.
Well, no problem. I wanted to.
Right.
But why can't
do
they
that
do
with
something
them
like that?
And have the money like you get this amount of money if you're still here on this date.
Yeah.
Right. So now they can't duck out.
Right.
Yeah, and the date can be after whenever the national title game ends up. And they're going to change the calendar either a little or a lot. It's not going to stay the same.
Well, 2 seasons, yeah. So there's so much more to be explored that could make it better without eliminating or destroying the idea that the young man gets money, because people are going to see him. Dampier should be getting money. People go to see him. He's an electrifying player when he's ducking in and out of guys trying to tackle him, and then he gets a step to the outside. You can feel the adrenaline in the stadium when that happens. What is he going to do? Is he going to crisscross the field? It was like Britton Covey on his punt returns. The surge of if he got a speck of daylight.
Where's he going?
Yeah. And I mean, I was at the stadiums many times for him, and that kickoff in the Rose Bowl as he starts to get some daylight there. Oh my gosh, he's at the 20, the 30, so forth. And then he gets to the 50, and I'm in the press box, and you could just feel it. And he looks over his right shoulder and says, "Not today, guys. You're not catching me." And that is priceless. Why shouldn't he have gotten money? And look at all the freaking money BYU made off a Jimmer, and his parents were struggling. They
All
would have been
facts.
buying houses that oceanfront views.
Yeah, what was Jimmer's NIL number? He's going into his senior year after they won a tourney game his junior year. And he still would have been a steal because the senior year really took off.
Whatever you would have put on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my gosh. So certainly these kids should get money. They're the star of the show. We've got no problem paying Justin Bieber X amount of money as a youngster, Taylor Swift, and the 17, 18, 19-year-old tennis player, whatever it is. Why not these guys? The most popular sport we have at the collegiate level. Of course. But there needs to be some sanity attached to it.
Anthony says it's absolutely hurting my fandom. I used to be a diehard Ute, and I don't care nearly as much as I used to.
Unless they were playing in the semifinal on Thursday.
They can win big enough? You're saying there's a chance.
If they were playing, we got a game Thursday, we got a game Friday. If they were playing in either of those games, your fandom would be through the friggin' roof. The fact is, each one of these guys and these ladies, whoever says this to you that you're reading on the Facebook, or DJ and PK Facebook, just like me, they're all hypocrites.
Because if my team's rolling, my butt's in front of the TV. Mike says, I don't mind the NIL money, but I prefer limiting transfers. When thousands of kids enter the portal, there's something wrong.
Well, that seems like an easy adjustment. You get one free one.
And then the second time you have to sit out a year. That'll be the end of 4 teams in 4 years. The math won't work anymore.
Right.
You have to either lose a year of eligibility or use your redshirt year.
Yeah. So how about that? Does that work? Unless you can go down a level, which has always been the case.
Mm-hmm. And that is what's happening with some of these kids. I mean, there's not 10,000 kids in the portal, and they're all chasing the big paycheck at Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, Notre Dame, wherever. Some of them have been invited to go in and find a more suitable place for them to play.
Yeah.
Others are chasing playing time, and others are chasing money. Others think the grass is greener. But there are definitely, you see some of the, whenever you look at your favorite team, whoever your team is, and you look at some of the names, and I don't want to call any individual kids out, but you look at them and think, I don't know who that is. I don't know who that is. I don't know. Okay, they probably didn't play much, and the coaches probably wanted to move on. They want the scholarships back.
And they want to play.
And the kids probably want to play. Yeah.
You got a little limited time. I understand that. So there needs to be there needs to be adjustments made that can keep your fandom. But I do think your fandom, you just say it, and yet if whomever was playing today on Thursday, if your school is in there, you're going to be in there. I mean, they said the Rose Bowl had more than 8 million viewers than Game 7 of the NBA Finals. Did you see that?
I did.
That ain't destroying anything here.
Play on a holiday when everybody's free and put a good game up. People wanted to see Alabama get destroyed.
Well, it's the granddaddy.
Yeah.
Everybody watches the granddaddy.
And there's no competition. There's nothing else going on.
There's a lot of talk on who's a citizen and should you be kicked out of the country. I think if you don't watch the granddaddy, you should be kicked out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's about, so how many people watched that game? Like 25 million or something?
Wouldn't L.A. be a better place to live under my rules?
25 million. There's 350. PK just deported 325 million people.
I asked them to leave. I didn't deport them.
Okay. PK just asked 325 million people to leave.
Right. And a large portion of it, and in your city, there'd be less traffic, less the pollution that we have here in the winter would be less. Yeah, right. I just made the country better. I made it great again. I see what I did.
We better go to break before Yak dies laughing in there. Pull yourself together, Yak. Put yourself on camera, Yak.
This also is from a conversation we had after the show yesterday.
I lived in L.A., man, and
the 405 just opened up. That's all I can say. The
if
405 is now
like 5
wide
million
open.
fewer people, it'd be a better place.
Well, yeah, so every freeway suddenly is
might
wide
be able
open.
to get a speeding ticket on 405. It's not really possible
My
anymore.
wife got one time.
Really?
I thought, you got to be kidding
How'd
me.
you get a speeding ticket on a 405?
I know. She was driving down to Orange County Airport. Like, nobody gets one. How did you get one?
You can't do more than 20 miles an hour.
Yeah, was
on the
there a
405.
bigger stretch than 1 mile that had, no traffic?
That's amazing.
And if it didn't, everybody and their dog is going 80 anyway. So, I'm going to let her have that. And then I come up here thinking I'm going to be, it's just really mellow. The first week, I'm driving like 2 miles over the speed limit in the neighborhood. And first time I'm driving on the street and I had a little decline, they pull me over.
Nice.
So what are you doing?
We got a spot like that near where I live.
First time I went down the hill.
Yep.
And I never got a ticket on all those years in L.A. You're giving me a ticket? Yeah. And I refused to sign it. I was so mad. And she jammed it. I only opened the window just a little. And she slid it through the little opening.
DJ PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Austin Meek, Michigan writer for The Athletic, coming up at the top of the hour. Stay with us.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
It's funny about Kyle Whittingham. He does not care about his legacy at all, which is weird. I would have thought that would be more of a priority, but obviously it's not. I mean, the bitterness of sticking it to Utah outweighs his desire to have any sort of legacy, which is, I guess, kind of crazy. I mean...
You think he's trying to stick it to Utah?
Absolutely. Gary Anderson said as much. They shouldn't have pissed Kyle off. Use that word.
Yeah.
I don't know why anybody would think any differently.
I certainly don't think Witt was trying to do Utah favors on the way out the door. But again, to your point, like, what was he supposed to do? This is how he's become Kyle Whittingham, is these people around him. So he's going to go back to the well of the people around him to try and do a good job at Michigan, because I suspect he wants to do a very good job at Michigan. He wasn't going to go out there and start over from scratch. I'm not sure that has so much to do with, well, let me stick it to Utah now.
Catch Jake and Ben weekdays from 10 to noon on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Utah officially introducing Morgan Scalley at a press conference on Tuesday. Questions for the new head coach. What do you want to know? What do you want to hear? What do you want Morgan to talk about?
His vision. The great thing about it is that when his kids, and I use this metaphorically, paint their faces with the drum and feather, it's legit. It's not, well, this is where I'm working now. This is truly one of your own. And I can tell you that when Dillingham said, I'm home, and cried at the press conference and said, my parents are here, he pointed them out, my in-laws are here, best man at my wedding is right over there, that lit up the fan base, legitimately. He can do it in a manner that Kalani did it in Provo. And that program is rolling right now, right? And Utah, it's not like it needs to get going. They went 11-2. But he truly is Ute fan. He doesn't have to buy into it. He bought into it 40 years ago. I believe he's 46 years old. And that is something that he needs to not just lean into, plow into.
Plow into?
Yes.
Farmer PK.
Or that he has a huge, massive truck and he's coming through the neighborhood. When I was a kid in Jersey, my brother-in-law had a little truck with a snowplow in front, and we'd go out, and I'd go up to the doors. You want your driveway plowed? And we'd make money. I was an entrepreneur I was like 9 years old. Yeah, little did I know I would end up living in one county away from the entrepreneurial capital of the world, Salt Lake versus Utah County. You know what I mean? Ice cream and entrepreneurship, the two things that matter the most down there. So with that in mind, he needs to just own that at the highest level because it's legit. You need everybody. You know, it takes a village. Majerus used to say it takes a village in. Same type of principle. So he can offer that, and it's not fake. Hey, Kyle's got to go generate some fake hate for Ohio State.
I guess I do now. Good answer.
Right.
Do you hate Ohio State? I guess I do now.
Well,
I know. Yeah, I know. He's lived on the other side of the country.
Yeah. Well, and they need to play that phrase. They're bleeps. I've hated him ever since I was born.
And then Morgan comes out like a rock star walking in his spotlight, arms above his head.
Yeah, the Utah program, which is crazy to say, but it's taken some body blows here in the last 2 weeks. It hasn't been knocked out. We're not on a standing 8 count or what have you, but it has taken some body blows.
There are challenges. Challenges, I believe, can be met, but time will tell if they are.
Yeah. Right. And it's been chaos other places. All these coaches in the Pac-12, there was, I forget the number, but the numbered, I think, about 20 or so of coaches who were hired and fired and new coaches hired during the time Kyle was in the Pac-12.
It got to be a huge number. I remember seeing those stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And if you count the interim coaches at SC, it was something like they had like
charts.
10 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, our guy, he's same thing every year, man. Pretty much every program had some form of chaos. You didn't. Well, now you
have change.
It's in flux right now.
It is in flux. I'll give you in flux.
Yeah.
I just refer to...
And I'll take in flux.
I just refuse to buy into the panic narrative. Like, Kyle stripped down these programs. And, man, that's a good story and a good headline and all that. But he stripped them down. Well, he took some key pieces of the puzzle. There's no doubt about that.
He stole your guys.
Your guy. See, that's where you're right. Like, Morgan is your guy, right? He literally grew up in the shadow of the university and played at Highland High. He's your guy. Some of the guys who moved through town were here 1 year.
Yeah, but
they went to the rival.
But they were BYU guys, so in a sense they were Utah guys. You're home. Jason Beck with the All-American family and the twins. I think they had twins. If they're not, just play with me here.
Roll with it, people.
I mean,
roll with it.
Their faces were in Ute gear out on the field, giving the Ute sign, and then boom, you're gone. Now, he should be gone. He got a chance to go to Michigan. But you're asking fans to be logical. And it's hard to be logical when you're a diehard. That one lady that I talk about who's on 4th South when I come out of the south end zone there to walk to my car, make the 4-mile hike that I have to do, although they promised me this next season will be a little closer.
Nice.
Yeah, I said, come on, I'm getting old. And I mean, I got arthritis in my knees. I can't walk like that.
Park uphill.
I'm old as crap.
Park uphill halfway across campus.
I swam down when they played ASU.
Yeah, nice. His body surf.
Yeah. I should have brought my board.
Pecan and boogie board blowing through a red light.
Yeah. The rain. Remember that night? It was raining like crazy.
I do remember.
And so that lady who's out there, I don't know her name. I should know her name. I say hello to her. This lady is a diehard, passionate Ute fan. And now you're saying, well, be logical. Jim Harding got Michigan offer. Okay, but you've been here 11 years, man. And Lewis Powell, didn't he leave?
Yeah.
Didn't that sting?
A little bit.
Yeah. Now, am I going to criticize Lewis for taking that job? Absolutely not.
No.
But I'm not the fan.
Right. But those guys had produced a lot of good players.
Yeah.
And the players do the work and they get the credit. You still have to have a good position coach. You got to bring them along.
And who's next?
Yes.
Do we think he's done?
Kyle?
Yeah.
Yeah, largely.
Largely ain't done, though.
Well, I mean, another year from now. I
no,
guess
right now
never.
this year. Do you think he's done?
Taking Utah and BYU coaches? His staff isn't done, but I think he's done taking Utah and BYU coaches.
Well, support staff.
Yeah, he just took a strength and conditioning guy yesterday.
Not a, but the.
The?
You're right.
He took
the.
Yes. He didn't take A. He took the.
Doug Elisai has been with him since 06.
So I don't know the rest
Since
of the
you were
strength.
6? Is that what you just said?
I don't know
No,
the rest
been
of the
with him
strength and
since
conditioning
06.
coach.
Oh.
I don't know the rest of the strength and conditioning coaches, but it's like there's someone been there who's ready to step up and be the next person.
You would hope so.
Or
but
does he ultimately take the whole rest of the staff and that just has to play out over a
Morgan
couple
goes
days?
steals the dude from BYU.
you know, it's Skylar Maine.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just using it as an example.
Okay. Well, Ryan Phillips and Skylar Maine are the two guys running things down there.
And they do one heck of a job, I might add. They are the strength coaches.
Well, there's two of them. So.
Right, which is why I said the. And I put an S on the end of it. I got my grammar and my syntax, they match up here. So, yeah, who knows? The point being is, who knows what's going to happen?
We don't know for certain. We also don't know for certain what would have happened if Kyle had stayed. Perhaps he would have run out another string of double-digit win seasons. But he could have, we said it over and over, there's a long list of coaches that stayed a year or two too long. I mean, that's the bet.
Oh, he didn't stay.
That's the bet.
He came back next year. He wouldn't have stayed a year too long.
That's the bet that was made on Morgan by the 80 and the president.
I got that. But both can be true. And I had that very phrase said to me by somebody at a high level. Both things can be true. I get that. But if Kyle Whittingham came back next year and was the 2026 University of Utah football coach,
I would bet on a double-digit win season.
Contention in November. That's what you want. When you get to the second, third week in November, you want to be in contention.
They would have been.
Yeah,
I would have bet on a double-digit win season. And that essence, whoever told you that's the essence of the problem. There's one head coaching job. There's two people who wanted it, and you can see where with either person it could go really well. There are no guarantees. Morgan may have missteps. There may be a learning curve. Kyle certainly had one at the start of his head coaching career. And, Kyle could have stayed too long. When would that year have come? Coaches could have been picked off by somebody else. Maybe there would have been changeover on the staff anyway. But then this happened. And
so maybe there would have been.
And two things can be true.
But there probably wouldn't have been. They wouldn't have had to hire 7 coaches.
Nobody would have come from.
And strength and conditioning guy. None
of these new coaches getting jobs would have come for Jason Beck after 41 points a game and 5th in the nation in scoring.
No.
Okay. He'd have been locked in.
Well, who?
Any of the jobs this job, Penn State. Well, no, because he brought his guy from. He's got his Iowa State. He's like you said, he's backing up a truck to Iowa State and bringing everybody
Jason
and everything.
Beck, as Kyle says, and I believe him 100%, he was only going to go back for a caliber of Michigan.
Yeah,
and it happened. Jason Beck, he would only leave for a caliber of Michigan. Because he had a good thing going. He's making big money here. You got Dampier coming back. You probably got Parker coming back. And stands to reason that they would be good next year. I still think they'll be good, but we're talking about if those guys had stayed. And so, yeah, if a Michigan comes calling,
you shrug.
He gonna go be a ballin'. You know what I'm saying?
Unfortunately, I do.
What do you mean, unfortunately? I'm trying to communicate to our listeners here, and I finally got something right, and you say unfortunately. What is it with you? Why don't you love me the way I love you? Jeez.
Feel the Hallmark Hall of Fame breaking out here.
Man.
We have an Anne Hathaway movie here in a moment.
The Devil Wears Prada sucked. Couldn't wait to get out of there. I seen the Neil Diamond thing, though. The guy about Neil Diamond.
How was that?
This guy's all right.
Okay.
Had a little sadness in there. My kind of stuff. I don't like all the good feeling. I want an array of emotions. Each day, I want to laugh. I want to ponder. I want to cry. That's a good day if you do all these things. Vanabla. You know what I'm saying?
I'm interested to see if you like the movie The Outfit. It's got a little mob angle to it. I thought it was a really smart movie.
Is it out now?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
The Outfit?
Yeah, I saw it. I don't know when I saw it. 3 weeks ago, a month ago, something. I don't know.
I never even heard of it.
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
The Outfit, huh?
Yep.
All right. Have to check it out.
There's some tension in the room.
Okay.
People trying to outsmart each other. I don't want to get into it, but there are parts of the story that I think you would identify with. Other parts you wouldn't at all, but there are parts of the story you'd identify with.
All right.
Yeah. Check it out. The Outfit. It was good.
Okay.
Tense.
All right. Yeah.
All right, DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Yuck, weren't we supposed to give away some tickets? Well, we better do that right now then. Utah Jazz, you want to go see the Jazz? They're playing the Hornets Saturday at the Delta Center. That's one of those 2-for-1 games, PK. Charlotte's on 13 wins. The Jazz are on 12. 2-game swing in the standings. So you protect the draft pick.
Lori.
Caller 12 right now, 801-575-ZONE. Date night, Saturday night, free tickets. Go to the Jazz game, see the Hornets at the Delta Center. Call right now, caller 12, 801-575-ZONE. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Whirls around and down.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone is your exclusive home of the Utah Jazz. And we want to send you to the Delta Center to see the Jazz in action. Listen every Tuesday for the Jazz Ticket Tuesday Sounder at 30 past the hour, every hour, all day long. And if you're caller number 12, you'll be on your way to an upcoming game.
Buy one, you'll get one free.
It's Jazz Ticket Tuesday, every Tuesday throughout the NBA season on your radio home for the Utah Jazz. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. The Utah Jazz got beat. And PK didn't just get beat. They got beat down. There were no stops available after about the first 8 minutes of that game. 36 points in the opening period. I think it was like 15 points in 3 minutes at the end of the quarter for the Blazers to open up the lead. 42 in the second, 78 points at halftime, another 36 points in the third quarter. I get that they don't have Kessler at the rim, and that would clearly make any team better to have a shot blocker at the rim. But expect some kind of fight, some kind of pushback. They go on a run, you go on a run. Maybe their run is bigger or better, and it goes longer. They're on a run for 8 minutes, and you're only on a run for 4. But some kind of pushback, I just felt like there was zero resistance. It's like, yep, we're getting drilled. No, well, where's the next shot? They score 117 points, and offensively, they're mediocre, which, given how young the group is probably a good sign. They've gotten mediocre pretty quickly. Don't think they've hit the ceiling. There's room to improve. But defensively, 30th last year, 30th this year, and I get there's always extenuating circumstances. You can say last year they weren't trying to win. They were dumping games. They're running terrible lineups out there. Of course they were 30th, and this year Kessler is out. But, just a little something for a while. We talked about it a million times. If they battle and they hang in there with the Warriors for 24 minutes on the road, and then Steph Curry starts throwing in fadeaway threes from everywhere, well, what are you going to do? They're not good enough and they lost. Okay, I can live with that. But this, This violated everything Jerry Sloan said about competing, and that's always going to tick me off. And I suspect it still ticks off a large part of the older fan base that remembers that era.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree on everything there. Yeah, they're better than mediocre offensively. I think they're in the top third, right? Top 10.
I thought he just said they were 15th.
They're top third, I think, right
okay.
now.
The teams are compressed. You can move pretty quickly in
the
there.
flip side of it
but there's no resistance whatsoever. I mean, you cannot allow teams.
Yeah.
Majerus taught me so much hoop, and when I immediately go to opponent's field goal percentage.
Mm-hmm.
That's the number one stat. It's the final score, obviously. But when you break down the stats, that his eyes just automatically. And so they would hand out, in those days, they'd hand out the box, like a, and they still do it today, just one sheet of the box score. And I always go right to the field goal percentage of the other team because that's going to tell you pretty much all you need to know. And allowing these teams to shoot over 50% consistently is ugly. Their bigs are useless at the rim.
Yeah.
None of them do anything. But do I crack on them? Has Nurkic ever done anything?
No. You don't bring in Nurkic expecting
Kevin
that.
Love, that's not his game, and he's old now.
Yeah.
And Marketing.
So is Nurkic. And Nurkic is older than his chronological age. He's had 2 major injuries. He can't get up off the floor. He can't. I don't
know that he ever could.
Agreed. He didn't have much athletic ability in that area, and now he's got less. You know those old man jump hooks he's throwing in? That's what he's good for.
Do I think, my gosh, guys, what are you doing? Why don't you show some pride? Is there anything there that they can get more out of? And, should they just say, Nurk, we appreciate your contribution, but we're going to just go with Taylor Hendricks. And if we take a beating, we take a beating.
There's a theory out there. Yeah, well, they will, because now you're really playing without a center. You're getting even more undersized by the moment.
Yeah,
Nurkic has beef
who has a better
and bangs
chance to
into
block
people.
a shot?
Yeah, but he's not big enough, and you've been playing out of position. I don't think they want to play a young guy out of position. But to your point, though,
Then don't play a center.
Yes,
They asked Bob
and to your
Knight,
point,
Portland needed a center. He said draft Jordan.
I have. That's a good line. I have heard that for all my no, that, and I wonder if Denver's a team, but I don't think they are because they're too good in the playoffs. But if somebody needs a big because of injuries, they could move Nurkic and make the team smaller and just lose more games and guarantee a good draft pick. And you can't rule that out. And I brought up Denver and what the person told me is they're going to get him back. And they're so good in the playoffs. They're one of the few teams with playoff experience. They don't care. This totally fits with what you believe for a long time. They don't care about their playoff matchups. They don't care about home court advantage. They just care about, is the big guy healthy? And so if they lose a few more games while he's out for a month or 6 weeks,
but you're
or
not
whatever it turns
asking
out
for
to
a
be.
first-round pick.
No.
You're not giving Oklahoma City Derek Favors. We get Derek Favors and we'll give you a first-round pick in a horrendous deal. Just give them away.
Yeah.
I sit them on the bench. I don't care what you do with them.
Yeah.
But is the idea of just go with Williams and Hendricks. Now, haven't they shown enough?
Filipowski.
Oh, he's already getting time
Yeah.
in my mind. I mean, he's not a defender.
No, he's got. I mean, it's a lot like Nurkic.
He's extremely poor man's Marketing.
Okay.
And that's fine.
He's got
he's
some
a
size.
second-round pick.
Right. He's got some size and he can score. And if he had the other stuff, he wouldn't have been there in the draft.
Right.
Yeah. If he had a 35-inch vertical and, arms that hung down to his knees.
Yeah, and another 30 pounds.
Right.
So that's my point, is that you're asking, or not they, but we're expecting guys or fans to do stuff they can't do. This is not good enough to do that. So it's pointless to crack on them. But do I want to see Nurkic get 25, 30 minutes a game for the second half of the season? No. I don't.
No.
But yet that's what they're doing.
And I get that they're limited, and so you can't expect too much. So I guess what I'm saying is, why couldn't you do against the Blazers what you did against the Warriors? You hung in there for a while, and I thought you competed and you pushed back.
Well, I mean, it's the Greg Ostertag thing. And you're not good enough to do it every time.
Why do you have to be 30th in the league? I mean, I don't think you're going to be 15th, but could you be like 26th? Could there be a little pushback?
No.
Apparently not. 36-point quarters are horrible. Anytime you look up and the other team has scored 36 points in a quarter, you've done something horribly wrong. And they did it 3 in a row. Like, you couldn't mix in one good quarter?
Right. So wouldn't you rather see Williams and Hendricks out there sucking? Aren't we beyond you have to earn the message you're going to send? The message you're going to send.
To me, that whole argument goes out the window. That whole argument goes out the window because nobody's earning anything when it's just a freeway to the basket. And guys are just standing.
We're riding on the freeway.
Sing it, Aretha.
To the basket. Because right now, opponents, as far as the Jazz defense, there is no RESPECT.
There is no RESPECT.
Yeah.
Not even a little bit. Were you making the joke or someone else? I can't remember.
It was
what
funny.
Now.
I was making it.
It was basically. Listen, if you've got a little, the quads a little, doesn't feel great. You got a little swelling, and then
Saturday.
Yeah, you do not take the Jazz game off. You come in and get your stats. If you need to miss a game because swelling in the ankle,
no
or
load management because it's what teams used to do when Stockton was 40. They torched him.
Yeah, you gotta be here for this. You're gonna get your 20 and 10.
Right.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Take the night off in Phoenix or in Denver or wherever the next stop is. Yeah, this is. And it just, aren't you looking for a leader on the team, like a player to kind of say something? A little bit of fire, a little something? And maybe these guys are too young. So again, maybe we're asking somebody to do something they can't. Markkanen seems like an introvert. It's not going to be him. If it were going to be him, it would have already been him.
What are you looking for out of him?
Somebody, when they're giving up buckets, it was just...
Start swearing and finish?
A little something. Grab the jerseys and bring them together and say, hey, get some stuff. I don't want Draymond over the top, but that attitude, maybe expressed a little better. No.
You want Dylan Brooks
That's
either?
That's a little over the top. Your guy, Kobe. Kobe would do it. Bring together at the free throw line, the head's bobbing. Yeah, you just gave up a 10-2 run. You're a little pissed.
So you're asking for
leadership out of guys who are really young, and so I get it. Maybe Keontae's getting to the point of the stature where he can do it. I think Kessler has done it. There are a couple moments. Ben Anderson has a couple specific stories about Kessler last year where he started to say something when he thought something wasn't going right in the locker room. To the guys with the media there, and I
know what you're talking about,
and he said something.
I remember the specific story.
So so maybe missing him, maybe he'd be the guy. And he's a little older, and that matters. At some point, somebody's got to be that person, and maybe it's somebody who's too young at this point. Maybe it's going to turn out to be Cody Williams or Walt Clayton, or I don't know. I don't know who it's going to be. Maybe it'll be Filipowski one day.
Well,
I don't know.
Now. I would settle for Walt Clayton Sr. to do it.
Anybody. Just a little something.
I mean, if Junior's too young, get Senior around the team. Why not? We've got Ace DeBonsa is front row every game.
Ace is hanging out. Why can't Walt Sr. show up?
Hey.
It's funny when he walks under the tunnel. Man, there's a lot of genuflecting.
Oh, and the angels sing.
Everybody knows who I was going to say Ace Bailey, but Ace DeBonsa
Ace DeBonsa.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right, DJ and PK, when we come back, Austin Meek, Michigan writer for The Athletic, joins us next. We got Jazz tickets coming up at the bottom of the hour. Stay with us right here on The Zone. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jazz tickets coming up, bottom of the hour. Stay tuned. We'll give them away to see the game Saturday with the Hornets. They're coming back home after they play Oklahoma City on Wednesday. David Locke's least favorite NBA road trip. Get to hear him complain about that on Friday.
I like that place.
He got a shot in at him at last week.
I like the convenience of the airport and all the smaller places and get in and out. I've been there multiple times for work.
I was there one time. It was for 6 hours at the end of a trip, and just straight into the hotel, go to sleep, get up, and go to the airport. Got no experience there. Yeah. DJ PK, and we're joined now by Austin Meek, Michigan writer for The Athletic. Austin, good morning.
Hey, guys. How are you doing?
We are doing well this morning. How is the University of Michigan football fan doing with all the changes and Kyle Whittingham showing up and hiring a staff? How's it going?
I think Michigan fans are feeling a lot better today than they were feeling a couple weeks ago. I can tell you that. This has been a traumatic month, I think, for a lot of Michigan fans, what the program has been through. Initially, it was a lot of shock and embarrassment as this scandal unfolded with Sharon Moore. Michigan fans were looking for somebody to restore some integrity, I think, to the program. Michigan fans were looking for a reason to be proud of their program again. I think a lot of them feel like Kyle Whittingham is the right person to restore that sense of pride in the program. So I think a lot of Michigan fans are really optimistic about where things are going with the new coach.
Yeah, I'm an old newspaper guy. I have 23 years of daily experience, and so I still write a piece here for one of the local websites. And I wrote that they got Mr. Clean because, he has avoided a lot of distractions and is a very simple guy in his family life and so forth, and doesn't have any really big-time things, no vices, essentially, unless he's fooling the rest of us. But with all that in mind, there's been a ton of change in this program since Christmas, essentially, and we're not that far removed. Could I argue that the most important person that he got to, in this case, stay in the program is Bryce Underwood?
Well, certainly Michigan's got to build around the quarterback, and that was the direction of things a year ago when Michigan made a big play and offered a big deal to Bryce Underwood to get him to decommit from LSU and come play for his hometown school. I think it's an interesting question in terms of what's best for Michigan next season and long term, because the reality is Bryce Underwood was a below average starting quarterback in the Big Ten this year. Now, he was an 18-year-old freshman who was thrown into the starting job probably before he was ready, and still started every game, had some really nice moments where you saw his potential, also had some tough games, including his last game in the Citrus Bowl when he threw 3 interceptions. So would Michigan be better off next year with Bryce Underwood as a second-year starter or a guy out of the transfer portal? I think that's an interesting question that people could debate forever, but getting Bryce Underwood back does guarantee that Michigan has a guy they can build around. And I think Michigan put in the time and the development and the growing pains with Bryce Underwood this year as a freshman. So to me, it only makes sense to see that through and hope that with a new offensive coordinator and maybe an offense that's a little more suited to his strengths, that Bryce Underwood can make a big leap next year.
Rich Rodriguez was in Michigan 3 years. He was an outsider coming in, and there was a whole thought that he didn't negotiate the politics well, and he's got and maybe the politics couldn't be negotiated for an outsider. And he's got a very different personality than Kyle, so maybe that would be a major piece of the puzzle. But how hard is it for an outsider to come in to Michigan?
Well, it is hard. I mean, and I'm speaking as an outsider who came into Michigan 7 years ago, having never set foot in Ann Arbor before, and had to learn this place for myself. It is hard. There is certainly a mystique around being a Michigan man that you pick up on the moment you get here, and that mystique was very strong for the last decade, starting when Jim Harbaugh came back here. But I also think if there is a time that somebody from the outside could come in here and be successful, it's right now, because the whole Jim Harbaugh era clearly had run its course. Promoting Sharon Moore was a way for Michigan to try to continue what Jim Harbaugh started, to be Jim Harbaugh's program basically without Jim Harbaugh, and we saw how that ended, right? It ended in disaster. It ended with Michigan needing somebody to come in and clean up the mess. And in that situation, I think you had to go outside. And so somebody like Kyle Whittingham, even though he's not from Michigan, he spent his whole career in Utah essentially, but I think his personality, just from what I've seen of it and his philosophy, I think it fits Michigan much better than Rich Rodriguez. With Rich Rod, it was not only that he was an outsider, but his whole philosophy was just so radically different from what Michigan had done in the past that I think it was just doomed. I don't think it's that way with Kyle Whittingham. It is going to be a transition for him, and I don't think it's a sure thing that it's going to work. But I do think that there's enough common ground with Kyle Whittingham in Michigan that at least he has a chance to succeed here.
My wife's family is from the Detroit area. My mother-in-law grew up there and all that. Still has plenty of relatives there. And several years ago, we were back there, and I told her I wanted to go through the Hitsville, the Motown thing there. And we got there, and the last tour started at 4 o'clock, and we got there about 4:10. And I went in, and I told the guy, I said, man, I'm from Utah, which I'm not from Utah, but I work here now. And so, we know the stereotypes of Utah. And I told the guy, I said, outside of Detroit, there's no bigger place that worships Motown than Salt Lake City. And she kind of looked at me and think, okay, you're putting me on here. But it was, I warmed up enough to her that she took me down some hallway and got my wife and I in the tour as it was ongoing, right? Which I really wanted to do. And the point I'm making is, when I said I'm from Utah, I might as well said I was from Pluto, and the way they think about Utah. They just don't know too many people from Utah. So not only is Whittingham and most of his staff going to be outsiders and not Michigan people, they're going to be from Utah. Now, does that raise an eyebrow, or is it among the fan base thinking, hey, this man has had a lot of success at Utah, so imagine what he can do with what's available at Michigan? Which one do you think it is?
I think it's a mix of both. I think right now the fan base is more on the side of what you just said, that look at this guy's track record. He's had success basically every year of his career, at Utah. Been one of the most consistent programs in college football over the last 2 decades. At a program that doesn't have the resources that Michigan has. So you bring that guy in here with Michigan's budget and NIL infrastructure. I think a lot of fans feel like that's a recipe for success. I think fans are excited about the staff. I think there's a little bit of ambivalence about some of the coaches that were let go, because the staff under Jim Harbaugh, he really made an emphasis on bringing some Michigan guys into the staff, guys who played at Michigan, coached at Michigan in the past. A lot of that's gone now. This is very much a kind of wholesale, a wholesale changeover from a very heavy Michigan influence to a very heavy Utah influence. I think some fans are, maybe a little bit in wait and see mode to see how that's going to play out. But I think on the whole, there's a sense that Kyle Whittingham has put together a really good staff and brought the best of the coaches that he worked with at Utah now to be part of his staff here at Michigan.
Michigan's coming off a 9-3, well, with the bowl loss, 9-4 season. That's pretty good. Obviously, it's not up to top shelf Michigan standards, but they probably have some pretty good players on the roster. But then I looked at the schedule, they feasted on the bottom of the Big Ten. Not even the middle of the Big Ten. They struggled with Nebraska, and they lost to USC, but they feasted on the bottom of the Big Ten. The schedule looks a little tougher next year. Ohio State obviously is on the schedule, but so's Indiana, so's Oregon, and a non-conference game with Oklahoma. They lost in Norman this year. They'll have them at home coming up for Kyle here. What are the expectations are? How good is the talent on the roster? Because there's a long string of beating a bad Purdue team, beating a bad Maryland team, beating a bad Michigan State team, beating a bad Wisconsin team. How much do they really have on the roster?
At no point this year did I think Michigan looked like a playoff team, even though technically Michigan was alive for a playoff spot if they had beaten Ohio State. You're absolutely right that the 9-4 record was built on beating a lot of bad teams in the Big Ten. Wisconsin, Purdue, Michigan State, none of those teams had a Big Ten win when Michigan played them. So I think in some ways the record is a little bit empty when you look at who Michigan actually beat this year and how Michigan played against the best teams on the schedule. I do think there's talent on this roster. It wouldn't surprise me if Michigan is a playoff team next year, only because, I mean, we've talked about Bryce Underwood, but not just him. There are some talented young players on this team that it looks like Michigan is going to be in position to retain. The one thing that Sharon Moore did well, he recruited well the last couple of years. Michigan's 2025 recruiting class was very good. The 2026 class, which appears to be more or less intact, was very good. Headlined by Savion Hyder, top 10 prospect and number 1 running back in the class, who's going to stay and play for Tony Alford. Carter Meadows, a 5-star edge rusher in that 26 class as well. So there's talent on this team. A lot of it's young talent. I think what's going to determine whether Michigan is a playoff team next year will be, can they go in the portal and get some experienced guys to fill some gaps, because a lot of their best players are young players. But there is talent in this program, and I think it's set up over the next 2 to 3 years for Kyle Whittingham to have success here.
I'm wondering also, too, the lack of the Michigan connection that the majority of the coaches will have. Excuse me. How much of that is a big deal in terms of recruiting, with the idea that Michigan basically recruits nationally anyway?
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't know how much that stuff matters in this era of college football. You know, if this was 5-10 years ago, I think that would be a big talking point. But in this era, so much of it is about, do you have the infrastructure with NIL and revenue sharing and your personnel department to identify the right players? And if Michigan has that, I have high confidence that Kyle Whittingham is going to be able to coach the team. I think there's not many guys in college football you feel better about, just from a pure coaching standpoint. So it's really just about, does his personnel department and the NIL collective and all the people who have to work together to build the roster, does he have all that in place to get him the right players? And if he does, I think he'll be successful. And so much of it is just about having the money and figuring out who you want to spend it on. And the connections, the Michigan ties, like that, maybe that has a little bit of influence, but in this day and age, I don't think it really matters that much. Your coach and your staff can come from anywhere. As long as you've got the right personnel people in place and the right infrastructure with NIL, you can build a really good roster.
How restricted is the football staff in bringing in recruits and bringing in transfers, given the fact that Michigan is a very good academic school? Does football get a lot of room to operate? I think we all know what I mean when I say that. Do they get a lot of room to operate, or is it maybe a little more restrictive than people on this side of the country would be aware of?
Michigan had a period of time early on with the transfer portal where they just were not very active in the portal at all. The first couple years of it, Michigan didn't take a lot of transfers. That part of that was just philosophically of how Jim Harbaugh wanted to build the team, and part of it was Michigan had to figure out which transfers to go after, which ones they could get in. I think one thing that Michigan learned the hard way early on is that the transfers you want at Michigan are going to be either grad transfers or guys who are pretty early in their careers. The transfers that are tough for Michigan are the guys who have 2-3 years into their undergrad, but they haven't graduated, because a lot of their credits aren't going to transfer to Michigan, and guys don't want to come in and lose half their credits, have to start over on their undergrad degree. So you got to be a little bit selective at Michigan in terms of the transfers you go after. Not every guy in the portal is going to be a fit for Michigan, But I do think they've gotten to the point now where they can tell, okay, this guy's going to work for us. This guy isn't. I think they've got it down to the point that they can use the portal effectively and bring in guys who are going to be able to get eligible and enroll and ultimately help the team.
Obviously, with his age, he's not a long-term solution, being 66. Is there any apprehension of hiring a coach this age?
I think there is a bit. And I think that's one of the things that, maybe people aren't thinking about it right now. Right away, right? It's the honeymoon period. Everybody's excited. I think that's the overwhelming feeling here is excitement about Kyle Whittingham. But then, as time goes on, I think that's one of the things that that is going to really define how we think about this era for Kyle Whittingham. Is he going to be here long enough to really put his stamp on the program, and what is that transition going to be like? Because it's going to be a question. I mean, my understanding is it's been a question at Utah for a while, right? Yeah. About when is he going to – how much longer does he want to coach? What's the transition going to look like? Who's going to replace him? If those questions were being asked at Utah over a period of several years, then I think it's a little naive to think that Kyle Whittingham's just going to coach 5 years at Michigan and it's not going to come up. I think it's going to come up, and a lot of it's going to depend on, is he successful right away? If he comes out and makes the playoff in year one, I think everybody's going to be happy to let it ride. But if it's not everything that Michigan hopes it can be, then is there going to be a question a few years in of, okay, well, what's the transition going to look like here? I think it's a legitimate question that's going to come up sooner or later, and we'll just have to see how soon that becomes an issue here.
How does the top of the Big Ten stack up? Where does Michigan fit? And you've said it a couple times now. It sounds like 10-2 in a playoff bid, everyone's going to declare victory in 2026.
Yeah, if Kyle Whittingham gets Michigan in the college football playoff next year, I think everybody's going to feel good about how all of this played out. Even if it was traumatic to get to this point, if it ends up with Kyle Whittingham as the coach of Michigan and Michigan in the playoff, I think fans will feel like, hey, we came out of this better than we were going in. One of the challenges for Michigan is that they have fallen out of that top tier in the Big Ten now. I mean, I think they're in the second tier of Big Ten teams, but I'm not sure I'd even put Michigan at the top of that tier. Michigan played USC this year and got blown out at the Coliseum, and that was a decent USC team, but not a great USC team. Michigan got beaten pretty soundly by Illinois last year. So clearly, Indiana, Ohio State, Oregon, those teams are on a different level from Michigan. And Michigan's going to play those teams next year, as you mentioned. And if that gap is still as wide as it was this year, then it's going to be tough for Kyle Whittingham to get Michigan in the playoff next year, just because the schedule is so much tougher. But I think Michigan's, they're knocking on the door. They're in that second tier of the Big Ten, but the top of the Big Ten is really strong, and it's not going to be easy for Michigan to make that step up into that top group.
What's the status of the university president and athletic director, the people who signed off on hiring him?
Well, Michigan's going to have a new university president. The president they have now is an interim president who's been there for several months. The new president is, as I understand it, going to be announced early this year. And there is an ongoing investigation of the athletic department culture and practices that came out of everything that happened with Sharon Moore. The investigation started as a third-party investigation of Sharon Moore's relationship with a female staff member. And then when it came out that he was, in fact, engaged in that relationship, the investigation then expanded to look at the whole athletic department, which has had, beyond this situation, a bunch of other scandals, including the sign stealing thing with Connor Stallions, 2 different NCAA investigations, and that's just in football. They've had issues in other programs too. So raised some questions about the future of Ward Manuel, the athletic director here. He's been at Michigan for a decade. He played at Michigan. Michigan's programs have generally been successful during Ward Manuel's tenure, but they've had a lot of off-the-field issues. So I don't honestly know where that's going to go. There's always stuff bubbling up at Michigan. There's always been talk for as long as I've been here of, what's Ward Manuel's future, and he always seems to come out of that still in the chair. There's some thought that maybe this time it'll be different, but I don't know. I think that's going to be a question. Maybe one reason you mentioned Kyle Whittingham's age. If Kyle Whittingham was in his 30s and wanting to coach 2 decades at Michigan, I think the instability with the athletic director and the administration would probably be a concern. Maybe not quite as much for a coach in Kyle Whittingham's position.
The most scathing summary I heard of this was that Michigan likes to pretend it's all that and that they're different and they're high and they're mighty. But look at all the scandals in Michigan the last 5 years. They are basically the SEC no matter what they say. Man, I would think that kind of thing lands pretty poorly in Ann Arbor, bodes pretty well for a complete outsider coming in, because my perception from a long way away is that Michigan people would hate hearing that, and yet there isn't a lot they can say right now when they do hear that.
Yeah, no, I don't think anybody can deny that over the last 5 years, Michigan has been one of the most dysfunctional football programs in the country in terms of the off-the-field stuff. Biff Poggi, the interim coach at Michigan, said as much before the Citrus Bowl that he called it a malfunctioning organization. Now, somehow Michigan managed to win a national championship amid all of that, which is still kind of mind-blowing to me. But just the sheer number of off-field scandals that have happened at Michigan over the last 5 years has got to rank up there with any program in college football, maybe at the top. And that is, I think, a blow to the self-image of Michigan as the leaders and the best, the program that sets the standard in college football. I mean, you hear a lot of that stuff around here. I do think that Michigan fans care about that. I think, they do care about how the program is perceived. And I think that's part of why they're excited about Kyle Whittingham, is because, as we said earlier, he does bring that reputation as a guy who, runs the program with integrity, runs a clean program, a tough program, a program that fans can identify with. They're really ready for that after all of the scandals that have happened over the last few years.
Well, has it finally happened, Austin? Has Kyle Whittingham been contacted by Tom Brady?
I don't know the answer to that, to be honest. I know Tom's got some stuff going on right now. Tom's got another coaching search he's got to worry about in Vegas. So I don't know if they've had time to talk. I mean, Tom, he stayed connected to the program. He was a big part of Bryce Underwood signing with Michigan. So I'm going to assume that if that conversation hasn't happened yet, that it will happen in the near future. But I don't know the answer to that. It's a good question.
Tom Brady's got an owner to get under control. There's one constant in a couple decades of chaos, and it's a guy with a pretty special. Yeah, right. There's one constant. It's a guy with a bowl haircut, and I think he's causing some problems. Managing up is a problem for everyone, including, it turns out, Tom Brady. So there's that. Austin, we appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for filling us in on Michigan football.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Austin Meek, Michigan writer for The Athletic. Not on the top tier. That's fair analysis. Those other teams with back-to-back playoff appearances. Iowa State with the title. Indiana's in the semifinal still playing. Oregon, another Big Ten team.
Yeah, but I don't think you look at Michigan on a yearly basis, though. You look at
They're still Michigan.
They
can get back.
The 30,000.
Yeah.
perspective. And there's few programs that are like Michigan.
Fact.
Yeah.
Well, the expectation will be to get back sooner, not later.
In 2026.
Yeah. Yep.
And then in 2027. It's what Kyle said. You come here, you're expected to compete for that national title every single year.
DJ and PK, when we come back, we'll give away tickets to see the Jazz and the Hornets Saturday at the Delta Center. Everything you missed in this show coming up next. Stay with us.
This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G.
Don't touch that button.
Check this out. Eric Weddle, kind enough to join us.
We need to get back to players that want to be part of our university, that will appreciate what the university can give them. The culture, the buy-in, what Coach Morgan and those guys are going to be emphasizing day in and day out of being great men on and off the field, right? Future leaders, future husbands and fathers. Like, those programs are what I want my son to be a part of. It's not the guys that are money hungry. We're not going to beg people to stay at our university. We're not going to overpay guys because they got other universities that are offering more money. Then if that's the case and you don't appreciate what this school can give you, then good luck, because we're going to be fine. The University of Utah is an amazing school with amazing support, and those who want to be a part of it, let's ride.
It's Hans and Scotty, weekdays from noon to 3. Presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Slacker radio headlines brought to you by Trajan Wealth. Call Trajan Wealth today, your local trusted financial fiduciary. Call them at 801-210-6800 or visit their website at trajanwealth.com.
I have. I've done both of those.
That'll work for you.
Oh, I'm rolling in it.
Nice. It's the Utah Jazz Ticket Tuesday. We're giving away tickets every hour on the half hour. Time to give away the 9:30 tickets right now. Caller 12-801-575-ZONE. Caller 12-801-575-ZONE. Win a pair of tickets to watch the Utah Jazz and the Charlotte Hornets Saturday at the Delta Center. Go get them. Jazz on the road and at home have been two different teams, and that is a good thing given how they played on the road last night. PK talked about it earlier in the show, but for the late arrivals, Portland's got a losing record. Portland actually has a losing record at home, and yet the Jazz were only competitive for 8 or 9 minutes, and then Portland blew them out.
They done did.
That was brutal. Layups, dunks, alley-oops, wide-open threes, transition buckets. There were problems all over the place.
Yeah, I just hate the easy dunks. I mean, just push somebody. Do something. Don't be dirty. But don't push them in the air. That's not what I'm saying. But get some form of physicality. These bad habits, man.
And it's not just the bigs at the rim. It's the people defending the ball out on the perimeter. It's hard to throw an alley-oop when your back is to the basket because you're protecting the ball. It's because you got a ton of space and you're wide open. That makes it a lot easier to throw an alley-oop. Jazz lose again on the road. Jazz now 4-12 on the road. Jazz are 0-3 on this trip, and they're going to play Oklahoma City tomorrow night to wrap up the 4-game trip. Oklahoma City unexpectedly got drilled, absolutely blown out by the Hornets, 124-97. So they are now 6-6 in their last 12 games after a great start. The Thunder have been struggling. Now,
Who's seen that coming?
3 of those losses were the Spurs, but the Hornets.
You just can't have that.
Yeah, right. Win 13 for the Hornets. That's good for the Jazz, who are on 12 wins. Win 13 also for the Clippers by 1 point. Thanks to Steve Kerr's technical foul. If I could just pick out 1 point. Thanks for getting tossed out there in the fourth quarter, Steve.
Well, I think that the Clippers are not going to be a threat unless they just really have injuries. They don't have their pick. OKC has it, I believe. And so with that in mind, they have zero incentive to lose and paying these guys a boatload. I believe Charlotte has a better roster when healthy, but it seems like they're just constantly in and out of the lineup. It looks like they made a good pick with Knipple here. He's been playing well for a first-year dude who only played 1 year of college ball. That's encouraging. So as I look at what the Jazz have as far as competition, I mean, there's no question Sacramento is awful. It's only like a matter of time, it seems, before Christie is shown the door. Not that he's anywhere close to the problem.
But that's just how they handle things. They lose for a while, they change the coach.
Everybody does that. New Orleans, I think, is legit.
Legit bad?
Yeah.
They're both sitting on 8 wins right now, while the Jazz are on 12.
And then Washington and Indiana are legit. Indiana with Halliburton, they've just caved in. And Washington has been bad since Dick Motta was there, it seems.
Those 4 teams haven't gotten to double digits in wins yet.
And that's no offense to Jeff Rulon.
Okay, thank you. That was for me, obviously. The Nets are on 11. What do you think about the Nets? Jazz are at 12.
I think they're right there.
Yeah. They are currently the teams with the 5th and 6th worst records. Jazz have the 6th worst record. But 6th worst record, the Jazz should hold onto their draft pick.
Should being the operative word there.
Right.
I'm foolish here.
Uh-oh.
I just think luck has to bounce their way at some point.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Yeah. There's so much doom and gloom, and they never move up. And at some point, they got to move up.
Well, not only do they never move up, they usually move down.
Down, right.
They don't even stay where the odds would correlate, I guess you would say. So I'm thinking this year.
This is the year.
Yeah. It's the universe has to step in.
You're going full Pablo Mastrani. This must be a Thunderbird High thing.
And say, it is meant for you to have Devonsa. The kid is comfortable out here. He's been out here for over a year.
Seems to love it.
Right. He seems he has the personality that would work here. He knows the Ainges, I'm sure. He knows Hardy.
Yeah.
He obviously knows Ryan Smith. So he wouldn't even have to leave home, literally. And isn't his sister moved out here? The parents have moved out here. And the only thing is that you can move higher up the mountain.
All right. It's the NBA. Deer Valley is calling.
Yeah, and I don't know. They may not be into that at all.
Yeah.
I have no idea. Whatever they've got,
well, some people don't want to be bothered driving down the mountain.
Yeah, I mean, they may be humble in their circumstances. Who knows? But it just seems like that's just got to happen. How does Ewing get to New York?
Well, now
How
you're
does
going way back.
LeBron get to Cleveland?
Yeah. The universe.
Come on. He's our guy.
Yeah. Make it happen.
Kevin Young brought him here.
Right. And from Massachusetts, and Boston isn't going to have high picks, so.
No, he hasn't lived back there in a long time. Bouncing around with these other schools and stuff.
Right.
And he plays all over the world.
And for people who haven't followed it, this isn't just 1 year in Utah with BYU. It's 2. He was in St. George last year. Hurricane.
Yeah, and he came up a number of times.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's probably played Sand Hollow. What?
It's just funny.
Well, I think the Boston Globe or somebody sent somebody out, and they wrote a story with the dad and all, and he's talking about, we've stood in line at the Texas Roadhouse, which is right there on Telegraph, which would be close to where they are, and he's just talking about the places.
Yeah.
It's not his hometown, but he's familiar with it, and it's just. I mean, I want it to happen, obviously, and
you're not alone, PK. There's a long list of people who want it to happen.
If not him, then it's got to be Carlos's son.
Again, a tie.
Yeah,
he's not local. Yeah. But when you look as people borrow trouble from the future and worry about, well, who's going to resign, 7 years down the road, that's a long way to worry about. But literally, if they drafted Carlos's son, the kid would actually have his dad like, don't make the mistake I made. Carlos is like, well, in retrospect, I wish I hadn't left. At the time, okay, I got this, I got that, and this is why I did it. But then when it played out, he's like,
Carlos has signed off on the Jazz.
Oh, yeah,
living here.
Yes, he's been around a lot. He's done interviews, talked about then, talked about now.
Says earlier in the season they've got a good developmental program.
Every young player should be listening to that.
Yeah.
Right.
Because he was asked about Ace Bailey, I believe.
And DeBonce's heard about it. So there's another guy who'd be more comfortable here than him long term.
It's
2 of the 3 makes sense.
Hi-ho Silver, you've got to get it done.
Well, they're sitting on the 6th worst record now.
Freeze the envelope. I don't care what you got to do.
Freeze the envelope.
Rig it as much as you want.
Yeah, that's a 1980s Patrick Ewing reference.
Because even if that happens, it's not like in the 26-27 season, they'd be battling for a top 4.
No, the next step would be to get into the top 10, top 8.
Right. I mean, you got to get in there,
yeah.
And DeBonza would still be a kid and learn the game at the pro level, the highest level, obviously. So it would take – it's not like the rebuild would be all of a sudden the fruits of the rebuild would be delivered next season. It's probably – I asked Locke about when do you think they'll be playing on Christmas Day, because that's usually a sign of respect unless you're New York or the Lakers or somebody. And he said 29. Well, that's the 29-30 season, because Christmas Day obviously would be in 29. So that's 3 years away from next year.
Well, when you put it like that.
But it would go a long way if you got a talent like that.
Spurs played on Christmas Day, didn't they? I've already forgotten. I'm pretty sure they did.
Well, they got a good team.
They played okay.
They got a good team,
and they
but
got
also
a
once you put
player.
once you put a premier player on it, the team doesn't have to quite be there as long as the arrow is up and the player is electric.
It was them and the Thunder, I thought, on Christmas Day.
Yeah, they hate each other now, man. Oh.
SGA and Wemby.
That rivalry, man, it's going back and forth because we beat them 2 or 3 times. You said. And it certainly looks like San Antonio is going to be a playoff team this year.
The Mavericks played on Christmas Day, and that's purely Cooper Flag. Want to see him.
Right.
Get the number 1 pick, and there you go.
Yeah.
We also talked football this morning. Okay, PK, there's challenges. I liked what Kalani Sitake said. I didn't say this earlier, so this is brand new for you, the 9 o'clock
What
listener.
did he say?
He was
Be
asked
humble
about
and hungry?
Well, he certainly said that a lot. And he's going to continue to say it because it's working. No, but he was asked about Jay Drew leaving the defense, and at one point the answer goes...
Jay Drew leading the defense.
Not Jay Drew, sorry. You gave me a Jay Drew story.
Wow, Jay Drew.
Jay Drew. Bad news, Cougar fans.
Big upgrade.
It's good news.
No, it's bad news. Jay's an offensive mind. He's not a defensive mind. He's on the wrong side of the ball.
How do you know he's an offensive
Jay's
mind?
a quarterback whisperer. I've talked to him at high school.
Jay Schrader leading the defense.
Jay Schrader. Famous Jays. Let's go. Jay Schrader. Nice.
That's a nice pull.
And he coaches St. George?
He did. He was coaching and calling games down there or something like that, too.
Yeah, but fairly local.
Fairly local. The Raiders are in Vegas now. Anyway, what was the point? Oh, no, it was with Jay Hill leaving to go to Michigan, and it asked about the defense. And it's as fired up as Kalani really gets in these press conferences. He goes, I know the defense, too. Like, did you forget?
Mm-hmm.
So I like that, a little bit of pushback. There are challenges for Utah and BYU. I don't like all the hand-wringing, the negativity, and the sky is falling stuff. They're challenges. There's no doubt about it. And people may not be willing to give Morgan any grace at all, any time at all. Some people probably will. We'll see how that goes. Everybody wants what they want when they want it. Yeah, Kyle was 16 and 13 in his first 29 games, and then he got stuff figured out in year 3, and away they went. Phenomenal run. So I know Morgan's got challenges. I know Kalani's got challenges, but I don't like the sky is falling thing. It's just not. It's not that bad.
Well, I don't think a sky would be falling from a team that won 11 and 12 games.
Yeah. They got too many people back. For all the people they've lost, they got too many people back.
It seems like we're overlooking the fact that Utah had a really good team.
Season. Yeah, really good team, really good season.
Yeah,
11-2. As Morgan said at the bowl, you may have even been standing right there out of camera. He's like, hey, we've won 10 games, and we're trying to win 11 for just the 4th time in school history.
Right.
Now, in the early days, they didn't play enough games. I mean, it's obviously changed. They've gone from 10 to 11 to 12 game schedules, and you got conference title games and bowl games and multiple playoff games for some teams. So they got to play 13 this year, and there haven't been a lot of years where they've gotten to do that. But there have been enough. It still stands up.
And one of the losses was by 3.
Yeah.
Come on.
DJ and PK, when we come back, your feedback next. Stay with us. DJ and PK, it is time for your feedback. What do you have to say about today's show?
Nothing.
There are people on Brendan Sorsby getting $5 million to go to Texas Tech, leave Cincinnati, jump inside the conference. How much, if any, is this stuff hurting your fandom of college football? Lance, we're not watching traditional college football anymore. It's another professional league with your favorite college logo on the helmet. Family and loyalty are just a distant memory. It's not completely wrong.
Yeah, it's exaggerated, but the point is made. At the same time, ratings appear to be through the freaking roof.
People are still watching.
The granddaddy, 24 million.
It's a lot of people.
Yeah. Jeez.
College football is not what it used to be, Brian says. No tradition or real loyalty. Players are not developing the way they used to. Coaches are skipping out, too. Making millions playing in college plus a free education, it's got out of hand. NIL was intended to let athletes make a little and market themselves. Then you get boosters involved and corporations. It's a joke. Can't blame the players. Well, like anyone, if you get more money and a job or opportunity, people take it. Sad part in all of this is one's handing out the money, don't give a crap about the kids in the big picture.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, that probably varies person to person.
Yeah. But, yeah, some of them are making huge money. And if it's a joke, then that would finally be the time that it's accurate to say they're laughing all the way to the bank.
Fact.
I would be laughing. I'd
the
be
cliche
skipping.
finally comes
I'd be
true.
doing cartwheels.
Cartwheels. PK, cartwheels and somersaults all the way to the bank.
Yeah.
Utah will officially introduce Morgan Scalley. Press conference, 2 o'clock today. How tough of a job will it be? David says he'll do great, but he might need a year or two.
I think you have to allow for an opportunity to grow into the job.
Steven, he's going to be awesome. Now players can stay loyal. That's the question.
Some will, but some won't. I mean, there's no other way around it.
But others won't, and they will come to you because of that.
Yeah, but are they good enough?
That is always the question.
I mean, for all of Broncos, I want the hard-working, walk-on, overachiever. That's great. And
But you need some
those
real
guys.
talent.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the Utes, leading receiver, leading running back, starting quarterback, transfer portal, transfer portal, transfer portal. So those 3 guys were good enough.
Yeah, and that was somewhat circumstantial with their coaches leaving. I don't know that you can count on that.
They followed their coaches. It's circumstantial because they followed their coaches here.
Right.
Right. But that's part of the deal now.
But I don't think you can build that.
I think it was
that is situational. That is not foundational.
I agree with that. But they're in that situation again this year, bringing in a bunch of new coaches, and will those coaches bring players with them?
Well, yeah, those guys it seemed like that was like on the next day.
Nick says, it's not easy being the guy to follow the guy. I think Scalley would be great. He learned the standard from the guy that raised the bar.
Well, everyone has mentors. And obviously for Morgan, he's the one guy. There's only one guy on the planet who can say, I'm the coach at Utah, and I learned from the last 4 guys who each had a significant imprint on building Utah. McBride's the godfather. He laid the foundation. Urban, the one-night stand that got him to the top. And Kyle, 2 decades, and he's got all of them.
You said last 4. I was waiting for the 4th one. It was 3.
Him being himself.
Oh, him being the 4th. Okay.
But
he's the 4th, and you can connect the dots. Whereas we were talking earlier today with Austin Meek, the Michigan writer for The Athletic, like Rich Rod didn't have any connection to Brady Hoke, and Brady Hoke didn't have any connection to Harbaugh. They didn't have the same.
Didn't Hoke have some Michigan connection?
But Hoke had been an assistant coach there under a previous administration, and then they brought him back. Okay. And there were boosters who liked him, and so they brought him back, and he did 4 years. The first one was good, and then they tailed off.
Yeah.
Quickly.
Right. Well, the good thing about Kyle in that he wasn't chasing something better.
It fell into his path.
Yeah, the other guys were. What they perceived as something better.
Mm-hmm.
And when, looking back, does Rich Rod really think it's better?
All right, we're all done. Jake and Ben are coming up next. They'll be giving away Jazz tickets at 10:30 and 11:30. It's a Jazz Ticket Tuesday right here on The Zone.